a surprise. It's Wednesday night.
Oh, my God.
It's Wednesday night. You know what that means. It's time for the Mark Golden Podcast. You're part of the Shining Wizards Network, episode 95. What a hot start. Surprise right off the bat. Millionaire Matt joining us here to start. Ryan Schlong is here. Kate is eventually going to join us. She's Hollywooding us. So, yeah. What a night of action on Dynamite. We're going to talk about Dynamite. We're going to touch on Rampage. I have a... Matt, did you get your crate? I got my crate.
Yeah, I got it yesterday, and I just opened it like 20 minutes ago when I came home.
Nice. I didn't open mine. That's what I'm planning to do here.
Oh, man, such excitement.
Oh, isn't it? So wow, Matt, we definitely have to check in with you.
Checking in.
What?
Checking in.
You sound great.
I got whatever wonderful illness my wife brought back, where she was like, I just got a scratchy throat and I feel fine. She dumped all the other shit that goes along with it onto me, and it's
sweet.
Getting progressively worse as the day goes on.
Wow. Sounds great. Well, welcome back to dry land. Hope you got your sea legs?
Yeah, I feel good. Like within that aspect.
Okay, good. Kate's joining us. Hello, Kate.
She doesn't hear us.
No.
She's frozen.
No ears.
She's frozen. She's frozen.
Frozen in time.
There she goes.
Is legendary.
I feel like outside of my vacation last week, I think I showed up for the last 2 weeks before that.
You did. I wasn't here for one of them, and then you showed up. You showed up last week.
You were at the concert.
Was I?
Right?
Yeah, the last one of 2022. Yes, I was.
And this guy, Ryan, somebody's running around, right, with like a Ryan mask on. They put on a captain's hat, and it's really weird, dude. It looks.
I've heard we look similar, but we are not the same person. The captain is his own individual.
It's creepy how the likeliness is there. It's creepy.
Well, you know, I'm glad though that the captain made a fun appearance on the Shining Wizards on Monday.
Yeah, I was excited to see the captain.
Brendan Haney wants to know if you're coming to finish him off, and I'm sure the captain would like to know the same thing.
Like in a sexual way?
Yeah,
man. It's the captain, yes.
See how I feel next week.
Okay.
I don't feel good, man.
Well, that's fine. That's
all right.
Fine.
I'm waiting for my wife to get out of work because I got to make her dinner. So I said I would jump.
That just sounded funny.
What?
I said that sounded funny. You're like, I'm waiting for her to get out so I can make her dinner.
Yeah, I was.
Wants to be on or not.
I was a pain in the ass for I don't know a week with her. So.
Well, so Matt, how since you're here and we have you for a few minutes, how was? I know you probably went through it on Monday night, but this is Wednesday.
You know what, Ant? I did, but I don't mind going through it again with you guys because I think you're a little more level-headed than the fucking buffoons I do a podcast with on Monday nights who had this grand image of me shirtless, covered in vanilla soft serve ice cream, singing fucking Judas like I'm some kind of fucking animal.
I mean, that's going to be Ryan in a couple weeks.
Yes,
when
but
he goes
actually,
on the Jericho boat.
Are you going on the cruise, dude?
Kate bugged me so much I gave in.
Wow.
Yeah, Kate bugged him so much.
Wow.
No, you can ask her. She was relentless. It was very, very annoying.
It's a Norwegian gimmick. I know that. I was looking it up Sunday.
I've never been on a cruise before, so I figured a nice 4-day cruise is a good test to see if I enjoy it or not.
All right, get yourself some Dramamine just in case.
Oh, I am absolutely.
But you should be good. The boat is fucking enormous, so unless you're staying with the poor people at the bottom, you should. No,
I got a good spot. I'm like, I forget what deck, but I'm in where you should be to avoid the swaying, and I have a balcony, so I go out on that.
See, a balcony was a big topic of conversation Monday night. AntMoney, Kevin from the Shining Wizards, doesn't understand that I had a balcony. All he cared about was the fucking porthole to the point where he was like, "You slept on the balcony," and I was like, "No, stupid! I had a room with a fucking balcony that I could go sit on." Because I apologize to anybody that listened Monday night, but I will tell again. I'll try and shorten it for you. They changed our itinerary. I didn't give a shit because I was on fucking vacation. So we were on the boat a lot. Like they shortened days. We were supposed to be at locations, and we were in like Nassau, Bahamas for 4 hours. We were at St. Thomas for like 6 hours. We were in Tortola for 5 hours, and then we didn't even get to go to our last destination because it was a tender, and the waters were rough, so they weren't running the boats because they didn't want anyone to get hurt. So we just cruised on back to Orlando. But I had a nice balcony, and I don't really like people to begin with, let alone drunk people on a boat. So when we would go up and we'd hit the casino, or we'd get lunch, or we'd go up to the sun deck, when it got like we were good, we'd go back down to our room, open the sliding glass door, and just sit on the balcony. I read a couple books. I took a couple naps. I got off the boat every time. Every time we got to a port, we got off. We went places. I went to a couple beaches. I saw a couple old lady nipples. Oh yeah,
big
one. Some lady just took her top off. She was changing her top right there next to me.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, caught me by surprise. This was the last thing I thought I was going to see on vacation.
So, so it sounds like you had a pretty nice trip. You had, did you have good weather?
Oh, it was beautiful. The trip was fantastic. The weather was great, except for the last day. We got back to Orlando, and it was the same temperature as it was in New Jersey. So,
wow,
and, I had a good laugh with all these idiots in their shorts, and I was like, "You're not going to get to have the same fucking boat pulling at a port party that I had, sucker." Because it was cold, and there were fucking gale force winds down there.
Wow.
Did you have soft serve ice cream every day, multiple times a day?
I didn't. I had soft serve ice cream once. Because then they were out of vanilla. And I don't like chocolate ice cream. I'm sorry.
It's kind of weird, but I get
ran
it.
out of
you
vanilla?
like what you like.
They had like, you could go to like the buffet and they were like manually scooping vanilla ice cream in the cones for you.
No, that ain't soft serve.
No,
I'm a twist. I'm a twist gal. I like a good twist cone.
I had one vanilla soft serve cone.
I'm sorry.
But I also took my shirt off in the pool, and I was like, I'm a fucking slob, so let's not be a fucking slob on vacation. And I wasn't.
I mean, I feel like vacation of all places is where you should be a slob, right?
That was good. I ate 3 meals a day.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I kept it simple.
Probably easier too when you're not working, so you're not like on a pizza truck for when you'd be having 2 of those meals or whatever too. Like probably just made it easier.
Yes, I also just have bad habits, so if I don't, decide I need a soft pretzel from the Wawa every day on my way home for dinner, I'll probably be better off.
But it's still good.
But like sometimes you do.
Well, I made up for it I had a lot of drinks. I had a lot of margaritas. So.
Ooh, spicy ones? Like
no, they just had regular margaritas.
Straight up
Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of drinks on my cruise. A lot of sodas.
You get the soda package, buddy. You got to pay for your soda
package.
Good man.
But it was good. It was a fun time. I relaxed and I did nothing. And I got.
Did you win any money in the casino?
No. Up and down.
Did your lovely wife? Because she usually, I mean, when we were in
on a
Atlantic
heater in
City,
AC.
she was.
Yeah.
She actually learned how to play craps, and she did very well.
Oh boy.
But there's still some rules of the game that we're both not quite familiar with.
Know your rules. You better
craps is crazy. Dude, the craps, I don't even know, man. People are fucking throwing chips at these poor dealers. They're yelling things. They're fucking putting things all over. I don't understand fuck all about it. But she kind of got the hang of it, so she did good there.
Nice. Last year on the Jericho cruise, Orange Cassidy was playing craps till like 5 a.m. It was awesome. We walked through the casino to go do something. Him and Will Ospreay were just hitting that casino hard. And of course, MJF, who reminded us frequently that it was TK's money, not his.
There you go. It was good. It was. I had a really nice, relaxing vacation, which I guess I'm not allowed to have according to the fucking jack offs I do a show with on Monday night.
Those idiots don't know what a relaxing vacation is. Then
They were like,
that's
they were-
B show stuff.
they were like, "What'd you
So-
do?" I'm like, "Nothing. I read 3 wrestling books." They're like, "Oh, way to have a vacation." I'm like, "Well, I didn't want to bring a fucking murder book with me on my vacation because that's not really vacation-y like."
I mean,
That is
if you're
not
reading
very-
anything, it's vacation-y.
You got the time to.
I don't know, man. I could step on that if I started reading murder books and I stepped onto that balcony,
You would have been the victim.
somebody, it wasn't my wife, I'll tell you about that. But there was some, look, man, I was like, it's fucking the beginning of January. Why are there so many fucking kids on this cruise? Don't
Yeah,
you
that's a
fucking
good question.
don't you fucking kids need an education?
Why aren't they on the Disney cruise? Is the question.
That shit's fucking expensive. That's why.
Yeah, it is.
Is
And then there
really?
were all these fucking like college kids on there. I sat to nuts. So you've been on a cruise, right?
Yes.
You go to eat
No.
at the restaurants, and they got to get every dollar's worth, right? So you're fucking like stacked on top of each other.
Mhm.
So of course my wife ends up talking to some dude about guns,
Makes sense.
right? And I'm like, all right, whatever. She's like, I haven't talked all week. I'm like, you're good. Like, I don't care. I'm just like, people think I'm interested when like they bring up like they start talking about it, and I just like fucking zone out.
When she's like talking about all the hunting she's doing, they just assume that you're like along
Yeah,
for the
this
ride.
guy's like
and you're
showing
like, I don't know
videos
shit.
of his kids and the guns, and I'm like off in fucking space. But the kid next to me was like a teenager, and they sit down, and he's with his father. And the mother comes over and she's fucking mad. She's real fucking mad. And then she leaves. I'm trying not to be too nosy, but I don't give a shit about the gun conversation. And then I look at him, and his fucking face is bright red. Right? Not like embarrassed, but like I fell asleep in the fucking sun from day drinking. Then he says to his father, I think I made a mistake. I think I got a little out of hand today. And I've learned my lesson.
Oh boy. Well, the other
Sounds
thing,
like you when we go to ROH shows.
yeah. The other thing too is I think if memory serves me correct, you only have to be 18 to drink out in international waters. So like if you have a bunch of these young kids who don't know what the fuck they're doing because they're just not seasoned drinkers, you can certainly make some bad fucking mistakes. The last time I went on a cruise, I was 18 or 19. It was my whole family. So my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, and me. We had our own room, the kids. Now, we did not have a porthole. We did not have a balcony. We were an inside room. So we slept till like 1 o'clock every day because unless you set your clock, there's no light. You're just fucking in a cave. But my problem arose on the last day when the bill came. Because it's very easy just to be like, I'll have another red stripe, put it on my room.
Put it
And
on
they're
my tab.
not stopping you. My father wasn't too pleased with me.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I tell you what, we
Yeah.
were looking the unlimited the drink package. That ain't fucking cheap either. It's like $110 a day.
No,
a
it's
day.
pricey. Yeah.
You got to drink. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people that'll do it. You got to drink a fucking lot though to get your money's worth.
Well,
I
you
think-
like the game as I understand it is if you're with like 6 people and one room gets it, that's how you get your
Oh
value.
no, they don't allow that.
But you can get 2 at a time. At
No,
least
no,
on
I mean,
Norwegian.
So if you and Ryan, like, from my understanding, I was looking on the website. If you're going with another person, like both people have to get the drink package.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean though. You got to have like 6 people. 4 of them don't get the drink package, and that like if you have like 6 people and 2 of them are in separate rooms, you know what I mean, and then one of them gets it. So like you got to have a group.
So
to
if like
make it
you
make
and
sense.
Ryan went together, and then me
Right.
and Anthony and like Tony and Kevin had like 2 separate rooms, you two would have to stay together and both get it, and then we would mooch off of you. Which
Yeah,
actually
exactly.
happened at me at lunch one day when we went to the restaurant, and I was like 2 for lunch, and they were like, we don't have any 2 tops. Do you mind sitting with other people? And I was like, I don't give a shit. Fuck, whatever. I just want to fucking eat. So I've been up since 8 o'clock in the morning. We get to some fucking island in the fucking Caribbean, and the fucking
You
death
come
trolleys.
back from vacation and
The
you're
fucking
pissier than when you left.
the
Did I
death
not-
trolleys. No
did I
one
not
tells
call
you
it
about
last
the death
week?
trolleys.
The
You
death
get these
trolley.
The death trolleys
trolleys
are legit.
with these fucking dudes. You don't understand a word they're saying. The trolleys don't have no doors. They got no windows, and then they're driving in the mountains, and the truck's going go 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 go, and then there's cars coming. You're on the left side of the street. There's barely enough room on the street for 2 cars, and then before you know it, you're like this going down the hill, and the truck's making all this crazy noise, and I'm like, when the brakes go, I will die on this island next to my wife and all these other people that I don't know. Horrifying. They honk the horn. They drive like maniacs. People are passing us.
When I was in Honduras on a cruise,
What are you, fucking
it was
Ryan Van Dam going to Honduras.
it was a stop on the cruise. I didn't go just Honduras, but it was one of the stops. And it was probably the most I drank since college. And it was like 9 million degrees. I was so hungover. It was like 9 million degrees, and there's just no infrastructure. So there's potholes everywhere. And we're in the back of a cab with no air conditioning, and the driver's just going up a mountain like this. And I was like, oh God, please don't shoot.
Horrible.
I made it. I did okay. But I was like, oh, right. Because I'm just like a dumb American, assuming that everybody's got like highways and infrastructure. Oh man, that was rough.
Fuck that. I looked at my wife at one point. I'm like, is this what your trip to Burma was like? She was like, oh yeah, it was a lot worse though.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'm white knuckling like nothing. Some fucking dude sitting next to her, his leg was touching hers, and he like couldn't get the hint. So at one point she put my hand on top of hers, and then he was just rubbing up against my hand, and I could not stop fucking laughing and saying like the most inappropriate shit ever. And I don't know. I thought he was into it, but I didn't see him on the rest of the cruise, so he might have been from another ship. But anyway, we go to this lunch. We sit down. It's me and Ree, and then this younger couple, right? Because I'm not young anymore. They didn't know who Dane Cook was. And then this older couple, and this lady had she had a fucking story about everything. She was on fucking VH1. She was in the fucking remake of The Partridge Family. Her kid's a fucking musician, whatever. No, what is with the fuck? Everybody wants to know about. I wasn't in anyone's room. I did not see no upside down pineapples
On the
okay?
doors, Matt.
No, I didn't see any. We're just walking down the hallways. I saw no.
That's the thing now.
I understand. I got asked it 3 times on Monday, and then they were all screaming at each other because they already asked me that. So me and Reese sat first. We each ordered a drink. The younger Asian people, they didn't order nothing. And then this old couple came and they each ordered a drink. So then I finished my drink and the waitress was like, do you want another one? I'm like, no, I'm good. Because it's only 1 o'clock and I know I'm going to take a nap. And then after the nap, whatever, the fucking goofy game show is downstairs. We went and saw a cover band, comedian, whatever. There's 100 fucking million things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the dude with the wife who does everything, knows everything, they order another round. And I get another margarita. And I'm like, I look at Ray and she's like, whatever. And I'm like, all right. Then I finish my margarita. And then the dude's like, another round. And then I got another margarita. Sweet. And then did it again. And then Ray got another drink. And I had fucking 4 margaritas for lunch. And I was like,
you're on vacation.
What is going on here? Yeah, I was feeling great. And then when we got back to the room, I'm like, I think we got it on those people's drink package. Like,
oh yeah,
we checked our account and we didn't get charged a fucking $1.
Hey,
my fucking wife is up on the fucking stage last night at the theater.
Whoa,
with doing the fucking Pina Colada song, fucking with the fucking choir boys.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a great time. Blowing kisses at me because he stole my wife. It was very dramatic.
Oh,
it was fun though. I had a great time.
I'm glad you had fun for real. That you got a break
relaxing.
from work.
I did say to these guys though, Matt, that you were going to come back and show up, and you're just going to be piss and vinegar about something. And I'm glad you did not disappoint.
It was
it
like
wasn't
he's
about my
gonna
vacation.
have his story.
No, I know you weren't pissed at vacation, but I just knew you were going to come back and there was going to be yelling about something, and I love it.
Yeah,
You
no, we
don't
had a
disappoint.
great time. Great time.
Good. And Ryan and Kate are gearing up for their cruise. That'll be fun. Kate, Ryan said you were relentless in getting him to go on this trip.
There was a while where I was with everybody. I put it in the Discord like 100 times.
Yeah, who you?
But-
So it's just you and Ryan, or do you have all your little fucking weird minions going with you too?
I have a friend from high school that's also coming with us. Her name's Elise.
Is she a wrestling fan, or did you just drag her?
Oh,
along?
she was in AC with us. If you remember, we went to brunch the next morning.
She
you
sat
were
and
kind
had brunch. I do remember somebody I didn't know having brunch with us.
Yes. I don't think you talked to her a lot because you were too busy embarrassing yourself in front of Jay White when we were gambling. But she was also there. She's gonna be on the cruise. She went with me the first time that I went. But it's a really good time. Everybody should go.
Well,
But yeah, Ryan hasn't taken a vacation in like the whole time I've known him. So I was like, take a vacation. It's real fun. It's all included. Like that's my favorite part about cruises is like I don't have to worry about shit. It's gonna be a good time.
well, good. Sounds
Hell
like
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I need it. I'm exhausted.
Do you pay for the internet on the boat?
Ryan did.
That shit's expensive. You're a maniac.
I had reasons. I might have to reach out for.
Oh,
some
this
stuff
guy's
on-
got to work on vacation.
Yeah, so
That's heartbreaking. That's a.
But he also has to have the ability to tweet out some thirst trap pictures of Kate.
Nope,
Right.
of himself.
Of
That-
Kate.
Ryan
and-
Thirstrap. Captain Thirstrap. Captain was wild on Monday, by the way. But
I love the captain.
I did not get the internet package last year because getting on the boat was such a shit show. They gave us a free credit. So I used my credit for internet stuff. Because we had to wait in line for like 7 hours. They were like, we'll make it up to you with $100 of credit. And I was like, well, they already had given us a free drink package last year. And my friend that was with me, that was a non-negotiable because she wasn't that into wrestling, but was like, I'll go to fucking the Caribbean for 5 days. And she's kind of just like fun. She's open to whatever. And I was like, well, I don't want to get like a photo from the gift shop or whatever. Like I'll get the internet with my package. And honestly, that first day I was so pissed and we were so worn out. It was kind of nice just to have like connectivity in a way. But no, it's really expensive and I'm looking very forward to not having reception for a few days.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah, I want it.
The best being
I want to
unplugged.
be disconnected.
Something else I don't understand with the younger kids. I'm going to sound like the old get off.
Sure
What
thing.
is do they understand what a fucking hot tub is for? It's not like you're a bunch of little tiny hot dogs and we're supposed to fucking boil you until you're done. You don't have to fit as many as you can in there. Dude, we walked by a fucking hot tub and we both were like, what the fuck? There must have been 25 people in the hot tub.
Because
What
you get
age group
more-
are we talking here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Definitely between 20 and 30.
Well, you
Okay.
definitely get more wasted in the hot tub.
All just
I will say
didn't look enjoyable. No, not fun.
2 of the 3 times that I was on a cruise, fuck that many people being in a hot tub, but they aren't like, it's not like super hot waters. It's like not that much warmer than the pool. So people would just sit in there for like ever because it was not baking you. It was just kind of like a lukewarm bath. Like it was not that hot tub. So people were in there forever.
That was fucking
It was annoying.
awful. Well, when I went on my honeymoon, you found a nice hot tub. 6 people would sit in it, plenty of room. You spread out, you enjoy yourself. You have your drink, you talk, whatever. This pool deck with the hot, there was like 25 people. It was gross.
Last time there was a minute where it was me, JD Drake, and JD Drake's wife and my friend and nobody else. And I was like, this rules. I want nobody else here. JD Drake was like, oh, I gotta go put my gear on. Left like 10 minutes into it. And we were just talking to his wife and she was so awesome. And that was it. That was like the only time I think I spent in the hot tub because of what you were saying, where it was just overcrowded. It's gross. Like,
Well,
just
the other
take it
thing-
away.
The other thing, Matt, is I wonder if you look up the boat you were on, if that boat is historically like a party boat that a lot of younger kids go on. Because you used to, I haven't taken a cruise in a long time and I haven't really looked into cruising, but I know in the past, you used to be able to actually look up, like on the cruise line sites, they would say, like, this is generally a younger boat, like there's more party and, this isn't like a family boat, you could sort of like plan your trip around that. So I wonder if you were on just
The
That
hot
wasn't
goss
like we
is
talked to
that-
people. Oh, sorry, Kate.
Oh, I was just saying the hot goss that I had heard was that Royal Caribbean is a shit show and the party boats and Norwegian Cruise
No.
Line is classy. That's what I heard.
no.
I heard it was Carnival because we were talking.
Carnivals
to
as a shit show.
Oh,
they were
maybe that might be what I'm thinking. Yeah.
My parents
a
cruise
literal
every
shit
year,
show,
and they
right?
go Royal Caribbean, and they are. I learned my not drinking from them, so I'm pretty sure it's not a party boat.
That's what you think.
Norwegian's not. We did Norwegian for our honeymoon, and this was real. This was great.
Well, good.
I love
I'm
it.
glad you had a
That's
good time.
I have nothing to compare it to. All three that I've taken are Norwegian, but it's been a great experience. There's a reason I've gone back every time. So
Yeah, it was fantastic. I can't wait to do it
I'm
again.
glad.
I haven't taken either one of the, I mean, I haven't been on a cruise, like I said, since I was like 18. But when we were younger, we went on a Carnival before all the shit show stuff. It was, pretty good. And then we did a celebrity cruise when I was 18. And again, it wasn't so much of a shit show, but like, I don't know
What
now
celebrities?
well, look who you're talking to. But I just I
Exactly.
don't know anything about it now. If I had to go on a cruise now because I have a kid, I'd probably look to do Disney, but it's so fucking expensive.
Yeah.
There's no way that's happening.
There was a lot of stuff for kids to do on our boat. They had water slides and a kid
Oh, yeah.
pool and giant chess and a ropes course and mini golf.
Yeah, for
Or a
kids. I
basketball court.
definitely never did any of that.
I just know that one of the cruises we went on, my brother was significantly younger. My brother's like 5 years younger than me, but he was way younger than us. We never saw him. He was like in the kids club, would do shit with them all day, and he would be gone from like noon to like 6 at night when we had dinner. We never saw him.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
I would like to do a trip with a cruise with friends. I think that would be fun.
I'm sure
Oh,
it
yeah.
would. Yeah.
I hope it is. Otherwise, I've made a mistake.
Definitely be a relief to my poor wife because I was like, I'm on vacation. I don't care. What do you want to do? I don't care. Finally, she was like, I'm gonna fucking strangle you if you say I don't care one more time. I was like, oh, I might have taken this a little too far.
I just
Care
want to sit
about
on the balcony
something.
and read.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it was like, where do you want to go? I'm like, I don't care. Like, I just like, are we gonna get off the boat? What do you want to do? I'm like, let's go to a beach. Well, which beach? I don't care. I'm gonna fucking go in this beautiful water and just float around like a giant fucking whale. So I don't give a shit. As long as I can do that, I'm good.
Right.
But it
And
finally,
did you accomplish that?
Yeah, oh yeah, every fucking beach I went to,
There you go.
right in the water, just fucking lay down, float around,
There
see
you
some
go.
nipples. It's great. Great. We went to some like
That's two
animal park.
nipples for you, like 2 weeks in a row. I guess 4 nipples for you. Last week you had your weird ass dream.
Yeah, but those aren't real nipples, Kate. Like I've never seen your nipples.
He saw nipples
Yeah,
in real
no, of
life,
course.
Kate, in front of
These
his
nipples
eyes
were like
that he didn't have to pay for.
right there. I was like, oh man, what's in this tree? What do you think that fruit is? Oh man, look at them.
How old?
Old.
Someone.
That was somebody's
Every
grandma.
cruise I've been on, it's been an old people are the ones that are wilding out the most by far. Not even close.
They got no shits to give.
Oh my gosh, there was one woman getting carried down the hallway, like over someone's arm. It was amazing. It was amazing.
You get in line to go into the cruise thing, right? To check in and everything. And my wife will fucking talk to anybody. I don't just leave me the fuck out of this. So
Mhm.
she starts talking to somebody, and then somebody overhears her talking to somebody, and this person was going on their first cruise. So this fucking dude is like, did I hear you say this was your first cruise? And the person was like, yeah. He's like, this is my 73rd cruise. What?
Bro,
73 in a row. And then Rhiannon was like, I'm like, what is all this? When do we got to get off and all this shit? And she's like, yeah, so everyone goes in groups or whatever. And then I'm like, what is this at the bottom? She's like, that's the people that just stay on the boat and just keep fucking cruising.
that's
What?
so weird.
The people that were mad that we didn't go to the fucking DR are jumping back on so they can spend 3 hours at a fucking beach in the Dominican Republic.
It's wild.
Fucking cruising is weird. Those people are fucking weird. I bet you there's a ton of upside down pineapples. It's just some weird secret club that I'm not part of, and I don't want to be a part of it.
You sure? It sounds like you're looking for it.
No, I'm good, man. Leave me alone. Let me play my fucking video roulette. Let me eat the fucking pretzel bites at the fucking Irish place. Let me fucking go watch some cover band do Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. I'm good.
Okay. Ryan and
Very
Kate,
specific.
Ryan and Kate, I'll give you this request. If you see upside down pineapples on the boat, it needs to be documented, but also you got to try to get a look at the animals who are sporting the upside down pineapples. Because, I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're ghastly.
If there isn't an upside down pineapple picture with the captain, I'm going to be very upset.
Well, you probably won't get to see the captain, but the cruise director you will see.
No. The captain.
The captain.
Also,
Like
if you want to know where the front of the boat is, follow the fish on the rug. They always go in the direction of the front of the boat.
Oh, look at that.
The way that they swim, is the front of the boat.
Yeah.
So,
You're
Matt,
gonna
do you...
go forward or are you going to go aft?
Oh, wow. Look at you with the boating terms.
Yeah, I'm a fucking
Did you learn
Cruise
from cruise director
aficionado.
Mike? Did
What?
you learn from cruise director Mike before you left? Did
we
he
had
sit you down
cruise
and have a talk?
director Jack. I was ready to fucking punch him in his head after the third day.
Cruise director Mike.
This is cruise director Jack with your freestyle for the night.
Oh, my God.
We're having an 80s party up at H2O. Make sure you come up and
Why
wear your
is he
favorite 80s deal.
Australian?
He was like British or some shit. I don't know.
British or some shit.
Fucking cruise director fucking Jack. What a fucking job. That job's got to be awful.
I meant our cruise director.
I know who you're talking about.
Is he around?
You know, he's going on fucking tour with Ugly Kid Joe.
I didn't know that.
I do know that. And I was seeing if they were coming around because I'd see Ugly Kid Joe.
Why? So they could do fucking the 2 songs that you know?
So what?
Okay.
Actually, it's funny. I said to Mrs. Money,
you would hit me with a third.
no, I don't know a third. I said to Mrs. Money, wait a minute. What is their song? And then she played for me. I was like, oh, I thought it was a different band. But I'd still go see Ugly Kid Joe.
Everything About You and then a cover of Cats in the Cradle. Right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, and they had Neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I don't know that one.
Be my neighbor.
Matt, we were watching Metal Mayhem on MTV Classic one night, and somebody came on and Gina said, "Ask Matt about this," and I was like, "I'm not bothering him with this." I was like, I think he's also Googling a lot of this. His knowledge is way too much about 80s hair metal. No, you're not Googling anything. I know you're not.
I'm a little disappointed that you would think I would Google.
I don't remember who it was either. That's the terrible thing. Is somebody came up, and then the only thing I could say to her was like, "You have to look up Gorky Park because it is terrible."
Bang! Da-da-da-da-da.
You're on a list for watching that. I'm telling you.
I'm on a list. I'm probably on a list for watching a lot of fucking.
He just got back from the cruise. He's on several lists.
Yeah, several.
In
we went
multiple countries.
Where are you guys going out of?
Miami.
Mio, ami.
Because I went to Rock and Brews twice.
Oh, okay.
And Rock and Brews is a rock restaurant, right? It's got all sorts of rock and roll memorabilia throughout it. And
just by the name, I would assume.
All the songs they play in the restaurant, they also play the music video.
Oh,
nice.
Perfect.
Wait, where did you go out of?
Orlando.
Nice.
So we went down a day early because you never know with the shitty fucking weather up here.
What we're doing.
And then we spent the day in Orlando. We went to Rock and Brews for dinner. I don't know why we took such a fucking early flight. We got to the air. I'm like, why are we doing this? Why?
Because it's nice to like settle in.
I couldn't check into the hotel at 10:30.
That's fair. That's a fair point. That part's silly.
And then because they changed our itinerary, which I didn't give a shit about, but we came back 3 hours earlier. So we were supposed to go back at 10 a.m., but the boat docked at 7 a.m. It took us fucking forever to get off the boat because people don't know how to follow fucking directions.
Correct.
So I spent like 6 hours at the Orlando airport before our flight took off. We went to Rock and
Cannot.
Brews for
I
lunch.
cannot imagine sitting in an airport with you for 6 hours after having just been on a cruise with you. Like, were you in little kid mode?
No,
Okay.
No, we
Because
went
if
to,
you were like Ring of Honor hotel night for 6 hours in an airport, that's
If
just
I
like,
get Ring of Honor hotel mat for a whole week on a boat plus a bonus 6 hours in a airport, sign me up.
I would be divorced.
do you guys have dreams?
We went to Rock and Brews for lunch.
Yep,
I had a couple margaritas.
sounds about right.
We went to the airport.
Were they Cabo Wabo?
They were called the Texas Flood, named after Stevie Ray Vaughan.
But were they made with Cabo Wabo
I didn't
tequila?
look.
Because
I
that
saw
would fit
margarita.
the brand.
Well, no Sammy Hagar paraphernalia in the restaurant.
Terrible.
Van
and then we
Halen,
went-
not Van Hagar.
And then we went to the airport and we dropped off our bags. Then we found some chairs. And we sat in those chairs for a couple of hours. Then we made it through the security checkpoint. And then in our gate, they had a very big TV showing the football game.
Oh, nice.
So I sat down and watched the football game.
Well, that sounds like a good trip.
Yeah.
When
We
did
flew
you
over-
actually get back?
I got back late Saturday night.
Okay, cool.
I had to do dim sum Sunday morning for mommy's birthday.
Ooh.
Oh.
Was that
You
good?
guys have made a
You wanna
decision.
talk about being a minority. Oof. Stuck out like a fucking sore thumb.
Hey, with that, can we start talking about wrestling since we're almost 40
Real
minutes
quick, before we
in?
talk about wrestling, I've made a decision. I do not want to join the slap fight league.
That's
No,
fine.
that shit's stupid.
I'm
All
watching
you have
it
to do is
and-
get married to Dana White if you want to join the slap fight league, apparently. So fuck that guy.
I'm watching
Kate-
it and it just looks really bad.
Kate, before you got on, Ryan and I were talking about it, and I said to Ryan, I actually don't know if I said this, to be honest, but I was somewhere Sunday with some friends watching football. It was somebody's birthday, and they were talking about that, and I said, wouldn't it be fantastic if that was all just a promotion for his slap fight league? That's how I would have spun it. I would have been like,
See?
I was very into Slap Fight League. We're just getting ready to launch this. We were testing something out. Boom. Dana White, you're out of trouble.
Instead, he went with, what am I going to do? Reflect on my actions?
Yeah, I'm just going to buy my wife
Fucking
everything she
asshole.
wants.
Piece of shit.
I think
Well,
he
I-
went with
I
the
love-
bitch had it coming defense, and I don't think that's what people really wanted to hear.
That, almost worse than that, he just didn't care, which I think
That's
might
true.
even be worse.
I don't know why that surprises any of you. Have you ever watched anything Dana White?
Oh,
has
no,
done?
I'm
He's
not
a
surprised.
fucking
It's still
douchebag.
disgusting.
Oh, it's not a surprise. It's still just, but at least in the UFC or boxing, you could get away with a fight without maybe getting hurt. Everyone in this thing's just got swollen faces. What is the
These
point?
are not fighters.
It's fun. Look, I'll tell you, I watched like the last 3 minutes of Dynamite, and then I was biding my time to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
I was hooked, man. I watched two fucking idiots fucking smack the shit out of each other for no reason.
There's something about it. You can't look away.
Yeah, that
I
fucking,
can, actually.
that-
I had no problem looking away.
that fucking first guy got hit and he went down like this.
Stiff armed. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that guy's dead. Let me see a replay.
Yeah. He went down stiff armed.
Who gives a shit?
Well, we should talk a little bit of wrestling, and we're gonna divert from our normal thing because of all the news that sort of came out, unfortunately, yesterday. So let's backtrack a little bit. Ring of Honor did announce last week on the 11th that they were going to be running on March 31st. Ring of Honor Super Card of Honor live from the Galen Center at USC. And all the promotions are showing that all the champions are going to be there defending their belts, et cetera, et cetera. And then fast forward to yesterday, and we got awful news that Jay Briscoe died at 38 years old. Tony Khan tweeted out that sadly he had passed away. And he was a star in Ring of Honor for over 20 years, from the first show until today. And that they were reigning champions. We'll do whatever we can to support his family. Rest in peace. And there weren't a whole lot of details known at the time. And since then, it has come out. Well, the only thing that people knew was that it was a car accident. Since then, the Delaware State Police have released details of the accident, and it turns out that it was a head-on collision. Their report said that a 2019 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 was traveling westbound on Laurel Road west of Goose Nest Road. At the same time, a 2016 Chevy Silverado 2500 was traveling eastbound on Laurel Road in the same vicinity. And for some reason, the driver of the 1500 pickup truck failed to remain in her lane and crossed the center line and entered the eastbound lane directly into the path of Jay Briscoe's truck and resulted in a head-on collision between the two trucks. The driver of the 1500 was a 27-year-old named Lillian Turnahan of Frankfort, Delaware. She was wearing her seatbelt. The driver of the 2500 was Jay Briscoe. Unfortunately, was not wearing a seatbelt. Both drivers were dead on the scene. And the other unfortunate thing is that the two passengers in Jay's truck were his 12-year-old and 9-year-old daughter. They were properly restrained, but both girls were taken by ambulance to the hospital in critical condition. And today, Ashley Pugh, his wife, tweeted out that they need prayers. Gracie's on her way into surgery on her back. So the girls are not in great shape. They have some pretty serious injuries. And I think even Chris Jericho at one point said that things are worse than they seem. So just terrible news and details coming out today about the accident. Again, last night we knew it was a car accident, but nobody really knew what had happened. So the other thing I should mention too is that the police report doesn't say whether alcohol or drugs were involved. I'm sure that they're investigating, but it was head-on collision. The young lady drifted out of her lane, and Jay wasn't wearing a seatbelt. So unfortunately, he's gone at 38. Way too soon. A 13-time Ring of Honor tag champion, a Ring of Honor heavyweight champion or world champion. I don't remember what they call it. But man, just from everybody's account, great person. And Matt and Kate, we ran into him in passing in in Maryland, in a Dunkin' Donuts. We just sort of nodded and said great match, and that was it. But he just seems like a overall good dude based on everybody's accounts, and super helpful to them in the business and getting to learn everything. And it's just awful news. So we can certainly talk about it. Matt, I think out of all of us, you're probably more knowledgeable about the past of Ring of Honor. And you probably have seen more Jay than we have. So if you'd like to, talk about it, surely go ahead.
It's awful. It's absolutely awful. Life is precious. Like 6 hours before that happened, he took a picture on Instagram, talking about his new hat. It said 13 time on it. He's been a part of the wrestling community in Ring of Honor since day one. He had the first match in Ring of Honor. I've been lucky enough to have him on the Shining Wizards twice, and he was nothing but a nice dude. It sucks. It sucks hard, and it sucks for every single person that's involved. And it sucks for the people that have to report it, because I don't know how you do something like that. I had somebody reach out to me through the Wizards who had knowledge of the accident before a lot of people did, because he is friends with somebody who is a Delaware State policeman, and it was awful. It's something you hear it, and then I was like, dude, are you fucking with me? Like, this is, and he was like, no, it's bad karma. Like, I don't do that. And I don't know how people go and make that announcement and put out that tweet or write that article. Like, it's horrifying. It's really just awful. There's no other way to put it. It's not like, it's not like Brody Lee where he got sick and they tried to do it. Like, he was just probably taking his fucking kids to some sporting thing or going to the Stop and Shop or
They were coming home from her cheerleading event. Which is awful.
It's just so fucking sad. And you look in this fucking cesspool that is social media, and people, they have to just, I don't know what's wrong with people. Being on vacation was the best thing I could have done to not be on social media. Like, people encouraging other people to wear seatbelts and them getting shit for it. Like, stop. What the fuck is, there's no agenda. Wear your fucking seatbelt.
Yeah, I think
it's big. It's bigger than professional wrestling. Like, and you don't know what the other person on trying to convey that message, how it has affected their life, if it's from a personal experience, and it hurts everybody. Like, it's stupid. Like, this is bigger than wrestling. He was a father, he was a husband, he was a friend. Like, wrestling's fucking last. Who gives a shit? At the end of the day, who really gives a fuck about professional wrestling? Like, this is a dude who had a fucking family and he was beloved in his industry. We were next to him at fucking Final Battle, his whole fucking family.
Yeah. Yep.
And no one ever has a bad thing to say about the Briscoes. It's so heartbreaking, and it's frustrating when you see this on social media, or people decide they're going to take the opportunity when something tragic like this happens to try and put a spotlight on them or make it about them when it's not. You're not that important. Like, stop. This is somebody's friend. This is somebody's father. This is somebody's husband. Like, be fucking respectful and let these people mourn. Nobody gives a shit about the way they were booked or what their fucking agenda was. Like, stop. You look like fucking idiots.
And he, let's not forget too, he was obviously a brother. Spent all his time with his brother Mark.
It's fucking Mark's birthday today. How awful is that?
That was the other thing I was going to say, and unfortunately, it's Mark's birthday, and
Jay's birthday would have been, I think, a week later too. Like, he was closing in on 39.
Yeah. Yes, you are right, because Mrs. Money actually was looking it up. It's funny, we were talking about it yesterday, and tonight, as we were watching Dynamite, it sort of hit me. I was like, "Gee, you had to see the Briscoes at least a couple times," because Gina came with us to a few of the final battles, when the Bucks and Hangman and Cody were in Ring of Honor. So we went to a couple of those final battles at Hammerstein. And I said, you had to have seen him a few times. And she was looking him up, and yeah, she was like, he was our age, and she also said, yeah, they scared the shit out of me because somebody said something and he or Mark turned around and said, I'll stab you, motherfucker. And I said, yeah, they were great at their fucking gig. But yeah, just terrible. And Kate, Matt said it. We were at, the final battle. We went to a couple of the shows down in Maryland and got to see them wrestle. Some really cool moments. So,
yeah, it's just, it's so, I said it last night, like, we had to go live to like our weird ass NXT post show. And last week we talked about Vince rumors for 4 hours, and this week this happened, and it was just like, what the fuck do you even say, right? We talked a lot about their trilogy with FTR, was like how so many people just found out about them through those matches. But I was really emotional, like more so than I expected. And the first thing that I thought of was when we were at Final Battle and we turned to the left and we were like, where did everybody go? And it was like his 900 family members that were there, and they just were so excited to like go down around the side of the ring for them versus OGK. I remember that so vividly because there were so many and they were so excited. From a in-ring perspective, 13-time ROH champs, WGP champs, 6-man champs. He was a world champion twice. Like, when I went back and started watching Ring of Honor, like, him and Samoa Joe and Nick Gage was one of the first things that like really, really grabbed me. There's so many matches, but you think about, I think he has like 6 kids. And you think about that, and it's just awful because it's still an ongoing situation, right? Like, he passed away, but he's got kids. One of them was in surgery earlier today, like one in critical condition, one in serious but stable condition. And it's just, it just freezes you in your tracks. Like, It's just absolutely heart-wrenching, absolutely devastating. I couldn't agree more with Matt that if you're taking time to dunk on other people for how they reacted or dunk on him for his past comments, that's a load of shit. And what he said, like, from a controversial standpoint, and that's the last thing I want to get into, but like, if you see the way LGBTQ talent came out and basically were like, hey, shut the fuck up, he was great to me, and how much he committed to kind of redeeming himself for what he said. He gave a lot more to LGBTQ charities than any of us. I can promise you that. Anybody who's criticizing him, I would love to see your donations to the charities that he was giving to, because I'm sure they were less. But just awful. And before he's a wrestler, right? He's a man, and now there's a brother who's never known a wrestling world without him. Like, Mark Briscoe's never known a wrestling world without his brother. There's a woman who has 6 kids and no husband to raise them with, who has 2 kids in the hospital. Like, so much bigger than wrestling. And the other thing that blew my mind about this whole thing too was just, it's crazy that he was only 38 and had like 2 decades of wrestling under his belt. Like, that blew my mind when I was like, oh my God, he's only 38. And I was like, how is he only 38? It feels like they've been around forever. And they kind of have. Like, they were turning him away because he was too young in the beginning of ROH with that stuff. So just so sad that his life was cut so short, but such a legacy to leave behind in pro wrestling. But just awful. Yesterday was the first time ever that I actively did not want to do a podcast. Like, there were times I was tired, I guess with Brody, but we didn't do one. That was the first time I ever was like, I fully don't want to do this. It's just awful. So just tell your loved ones you love them. You just never know.
And, you know, Kate, you brought up the fact that people are sort of dunking on the comments. It should be known, you know, he's probably worked for the last 10 years now, owning up to those comments that he made and apologizing and doing everything he could.
He literally said, like, I misunderstood my own religion. I don't know what more you want than that from that guy.
And I mean, you know, clearly, I think felt the repercussions of that over the last 10 years. So, you know, it's a shame, because the work they were doing, I mean, the work they've done has always been good, right? I mean, but the work that they have just been doing, especially that trilogy with FTR, was just next level. And they had the belts, so there were plans, you know, you would assume moving forward with Ring of Honor in some capacity to get them way, way, way more involved. So Matt, I think you have to bounce out, so we're just going to pause here to say goodbye, but I'm glad we got your thoughts on Jay Briscoe. And I'm glad you had a good vacation.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next time.
Yes, I will be back. I'll probably be back next Wednesday. I'll just stop in for a couple minutes and just say, hey, how's everybody doing?
Well, good. Please stop back.
I will. And look, I just got to plug Monday night, the Shining Wizards Wrestling podcast. I got news. I know you guys were looking to buy the network. We're revamping the whole fucking thing. Okay.
Oh,
sorry.
You sons of bitches.
Sorry. Unless your checkbook is mucho grande. But the Wizards network is coming back with new shows, stronger, longer, much more entertaining. No more of this weird, goofy commercials and shows that don't put out shows constantly. You can't put out 4 shows in a year and expect to still be part of the network. So kick rocks, people. Every Monday night, 7:00. We're having a great time. We're doing great things. We had Clark Connors on Monday night. He was fucking high as a kite, and he was loving life. And we talked. We had a great time with him. We got Kevin Kelly coming up in February and Vinny Pacifico. So check us out. And of course, if you're a New Japan fan, me and Kieran crushed the Bread Club on Fightful Overbooked. We finally got around to recording our post show because that cocksucker flew to fucking Japan last minute and enjoyed the whole week. And I then went on vacation. So we didn't get to do a show, but we finally did one Monday. So check it out. Fightful Overbooked, Bread Club, subscribe. Shining Wizards, subscribe. Mark Order Podcast, subscribe. And then fuck them all. Fuck the rest of them. Don't even pay attention.
Wow.
No offense, Kate. I don't know what other 6 podcasts you're doing.
I don't
even-
either. It's
Do any
fine.
of those podcasts have the captain? No. The Shining Wizards had the captain on Monday night.
Well, we had him first. That's all I know.
Just saying. I don't know. What do you? I don't know. I don't know.
Nasty
He looks
96 is
Ryan.
next week. I'm
He
just
looks
saying.
like Ryan, but he's not Ryan.
Well,
I can
No.
promise you the captain will not. Oh no, next week the captain might make an appearance. That's right.
it's
I
nasty
gotta go cook
96.
dinner for my wonderful wife before she stabs me in the neck.
We'll have fun.
Love you guys. I love you, listeners. If you're new to the show, I used to do this every week. I
You'd
was in
even watch Dynamite.
I was in when I have time. I haven't watched last week's Dynamite yet. I used to be an important part of the show, and I still might be,
You still are.
but it's very questionable. I make questionable comments, and I sometimes take my shirt off, and I have weird dreams about Kate and her nipples. Oh, my wife's called me. I gotta go.
See you, Matt.
See ya.
Oh, that's a sign off. And I have weird
Oh
dreams about
Lord
Kate.
Almighty!
So let's. I don't want to leave Ryan out of this conversation. So let's jump back into what we were talking about. So Ryan, I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
the
know.
least to contribute here, to be quite
Well,
honest, and that's not a.
No, but I at least want your take here, because I actually was going to say, keep me honest unless I'm wrong. I think maybe the most knowledge you have about them in an extended stretch here is the trilogy with FTR, right? I mean, that's been
Mostly,
maybe...
I did see them wrestle live twice,
Mhm.
I think, because
Mhm.
of going to ROH shows. But no, I'm not a longtime fan, and I mean, really, it doesn't matter because it's just a human thing, seeing the.
Sure, of course.
I listen. I can't watch, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. Like, it's a bad video. It's so adorable. I can't watch the video of him and his daughter doing the cheer routine. I just can't. I try,
Yeah.
as soon as I see it, I go away. Like, it's just too sad. This only makes me think I wish, and then you can't change the way we are in life, so it's not going to change anything. But it always makes me wish we addressed these things before something happened to someone, and we gave people their flowers before something bad happens, because these tributes only, and it's it's not just a wrestling thing. This is a human thing. We wait till after someone's gone to say all the wonderful things about that person, which just kind of sucks, because sure, it would have been nice to sit that him to hear all the love he's getting, because literally, if you go through Twitter, and I'm lucky, I curate our timeline pretty well that I don't see the shitheads. If you go through Twitter, it's all just wrestlers being like, they were the only, usually him and Mark, because they were together. They were the only two that talked to me that day. They were so nice. It was this person so nice. And it's from all over the place. I mean, there's, again, Kate said LGBTQ wrestlers, young indie wrestlers, older experienced wrestlers who was coming
Seth
in like
Rollins and shit.
Yeah, like-
that broke my heart reading his. But you're right, like, it's just everywhere, every company, every level of wrestling.
and also to the shitheads out there who are like mad about certain ways they got reported. I would also point out that a lot of these reporters knew Jay on some level, because he wasn't wrestling for WWE he wasn't John Cena. And I don't say that insultingly. I mean by the sense of he had a much more intimate relationship with a lot of reporters because of the level he was at. So these guys are trying to report on something of a person they knew, a person they had a conversation with, a person they've been around multiple times. I
For
challenge anyone to
decades.
know. Yeah,
For
I challenge
decades.
anyone to know how to send out that tweet, to know what to say and when to say it. Like,
No,
it's one of the, I mean, 38, 39 is just far too young. And I won't even address the daughter's thing, because I just can't think about it. It's just too sad. That's part of the reason, if you follow us on Twitter, I don't put anything out. I am not the person to put out the sad words. It's like, I feel them. I just don't have the words to put down. And that's how I feel towards all this stuff. I don't usually have the words when you're in a situation like this, where it's like, I can't fathom what that family's going through. I don't know how his wife is even waking up today. I doubt she went to sleep, but when she has to, if she can sleep ever, I don't know how she wakes up. Like the pain she must be going through. Well, Mark is just probably tormenting himself. I don't know how he steps in a ring again. And I say that, like Kate said, his entire wrestling life has been with his brother. How do you step foot in that ring again? He will. I mean, these are like, I'm sure he's going to, and I'm sure it's probably one of those things where Jay would have wanted him to, but like, I don't know how you do it.
And the feeling like you have shoes to fill, right?
Oh
like
my God.
Jay was I mean, listen, Mark's very good at what he does, but he wasn't the single star of that group, right? They put a single strap on Jay, not Mark. And now you have to feel. But all I'm saying is, if I'm trying to put myself in his shoes, and I can't, but you have to feel there's got to be pressure on you, right? Like, how do I live up to this now? How do I find somebody else who I can do what I did with my brother with? You can't. That bond is more than wrestling. I mean, I never wrestled with my brother, but I couldn't imagine doing the things that I do with my brother with anybody else. And I can't imagine if we work together in such a close capacity. And that goes for any tag team. Look at Top Flight. Look at the Young Bucks. Can you imagine either of those guys trying to do it with somebody else to the same level they're doing with their own brother? Because you've known them forever. You have some sort of connection. It's going to be going to be weird.
Even Mark's probably best singles match and arguably Jay's best single match were against each other. Like that fight in the barn was probably the most notable one of their career. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be one of those things where he can't do it or he has to do it. And that's just like a personal decision that you have to get in touch with yourself on. But
yeah, listen, if he said tomorrow, I can't ever wrestle again, I just can't do it. I respect the hell that I get it. And if he said tomorrow, I will wrestle, I need to be wrestling in a month because I need to do this. I also respect, I never tell someone how to handle their grief. That is you and you alone. I will never, like I said, I just, not a bad word has been said. Let me phrase that. For anyone not trolling, not a bad word has been said against him. And anyone who knew him loved him. And that at the end of the day is all you can really say, is that anyone who knew him loved him. And I don't think a lot of people can say that. It's just a truly awful situation. And listen, and I hate to say it, people are bringing it up. Yes, there are implications for companies and wrestling. I don't know when you start those conversations. I truly don't. Because that's just one, again, no one wants to ever think of this situation.
Right. I mean, that's when you sit back and think about what's happening now moving forward sort of with Ring of Honor, it's going to be interesting how they address this situation because they were going to be part of that pay-per-view. And so now how do you, and of course this is like the furthest thing from, I think, any of our goddamn minds, but it's like, how are they going to get, to work around this situation in the most
tactful way.
Right. Because, and it's not working through things because something bad in that sounds terrible, but it's a terrible situation, but it's not like somebody did something controversial. There was a fight, and now you've got to strip people of belts. This is, he died. How do we now sort of work out of that situation into a situation that's going to be good for us and everybody sort of moving forward? It's going to be an interesting way to see how they sort of handle this. Greg Cherry saying perhaps a memorial tournament. I don't think that's a terrible idea.
You absolutely need a tag team memorial tournament in ROH. I'd make it the ultimate thing every year.
Oh, sorry, Ryan.
I'd make it a big deal. I'm just saying I'd make it like a big deal, like the G1 in New Japan.
Yep.
Something like, to be in this tag tournament should be like being in the biggest, and I don't care if it should be ROH because they were ROH bound, but I would love it on TV just because I think they deserve to be on TV. Sure. But it should be like FTR comes in, the Young Bucks, and then they start pulling from New Japan. I don't know, there's guys as well, and they pull from Impact. Like every best team should be in this tournament.
Sorry, Ryan, my screen froze and I didn't know you were talking.
That's okay.
No, I was even saying, I was even thinking maybe you just say these titles are done and we're just going to create some sort of new tag team titles. We're just going to call them something different, and that's the end of that, tag team title. It ends with Jay and Mark, and then we start some new tag team championship. And then you protect that legacy, I guess.
You definitely redesign them.
Certainly.
You definitely don't give that design out to, like, they did that with TNT and Brody. I think they would do that with ROH. Be like, this was their belts.
Very well could have been doing that anyway, just because of new TV and whatever. Like,
sure.
they're restarting it, but Yeah, I think a tournament or like the Briscoe's Battle Royal or Cup or whatever, I think is probably a really good call. A really good call.
Gordon Post asks, has anything like this ever happened before? To be honest, not to my memory. I think the closest thing we've had to this would be Brody dying, but they removed the belt from him, I think, in hopes, knowing his situation, that he would maybe recover, and it would go back to him. He didn't pass away as the title holder, but this is the closest thing I could think that in the recent memory.
Never with the belt, like, because even when you go back to like Eddie dying in WWE, he didn't have a belt.
Right.
Pillman?
Like Pillman didn't have a belt.
Oh.
No.
Never anyone with a belt.
Benoit didn't have a belt. I know that's a bad one to bring up here, but he didn't have a belt.
No, and true. You know what's sad? This is just like Brody's situation. I hate to say, when these guys, you hear, like, I hate to say, you hear stories of other guys and they've done some stuff that led to their own situation. These guys did nothing. They were good fathers, just living their lives, being the best fathers they could be, and things 100% out of their control.
Yeah.
And I can't, I'm going to stop because I'm going to get like, I start thinking about the situation. Nope.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. And I think, to be honest, I'm not cutting us off, but I think we've said all that we could say, without going into all these offshoots. But it was just terrible news to get yesterday. I passed out and woke up to a text from Matt, and I was like, no, and I started looking around and didn't see anything, and then saw the tweet from TK, and it's just terrible. It's absolutely terrible news.
And it's still ongoing for this family. So just like
absolutely
healing thoughts, not only about him, but like these kids are in the hospital.
That's what I can't think about. Like, I just can't let my mind go there because it's just too sad.
And also, I mean, let's also remember here that the other driver is dead as well.
We don't there's a family there too. That
right.
People are missing her. Like, this has caused pain for so many people across the board.
Right.
It's just,
yeah. I mean, that's
the schools down in the town. Like, that's how big of a thing this is. So
no goodbye, I think, is the saddest part. I think that's just what I can't wrap my head around. Like, there was no goodbye.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is that now in the digital age, their catalog will live on. We can all go see his work and their tag team work, and
bunch of places made their. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
New Japan made their matches free on their catalog. I think not CZW. Who else? House of Glory, one of the indies that had them around a bunch, made those matches free. I would imagine Ring of Honor would do the same. But I guess we can also, if you wanted to put a bow on this, say that they did announce that tribute show. I don't think there's any details about it yet, but it is going to be on the ROH platform, which I think is
and YouTube.
And YouTube, yeah. I guess I meant more the ROH brand is what I should have said.
Yeah.
And
no, the only reason I pointed that
under
out,
that umbrella, I think, is a really beautiful thing. A really beautiful thing.
The only reason I pointed out the YouTube was, Tony comes out, puts out a tweet. We're going to put an hour-long tribute show or whatever on. Honor Club is going to be free to everyone. Pretty clear this is a free thing, and people getting mad that he's doing something for Honor Club, and you have to pay him. Like, well, you didn't read, and then he's like, I'm putting it on YouTube too. Like, wherever you go, just go watch this thing.
Yeah, and I don't know, find something to get mad about.
Yeah. Well, it won't take people long to get mad about something. That's for sure. So yeah. We'll see what the tribute show's about. You're right, Kate. I don't think there's been any firm details, so stay tuned on that. But let's continue on with our sort of normal discussion. We definitely just want to talk about this up front because it's such huge news, and we're fans. And we're just people, right?
Yeah, just human being. Like, my mom was researching this because I was so upset yesterday. And she tunes into my wrestling streams with my dad. But she was just reading up about it and she's affected, and she has not once given a single shit about anything that's happened in wrestling, at least independently. So it's awful.
Resident idiot savant, and that's not meant in a slight, Kyle K. Sparks who I thought might be doing a post show tonight. I was thinking about seeing if he wanted to come talk about
Oh,
the
well,
Briscoes, but I thought he was doing a post show. So Kyle K. Sparks, we'll talk about this again another time. But he said he did some number crunching. I haven't added up the amount of time they held each of the belt variations, but I did crunch some numbers. Briscoes held the tag titles for approximately 21% of their total time in Ring of Honor. And then he also followed that up with their combined days as tag team champions were close to 4 years. So,
and if that's combined, that doesn't even include the singles runs for Jay or injury timeout, probably. So that's wild.
Yeah,
just
insane.
I just want to point out, and this is like for the tribute thing, I saw someone say it on Twitter, but you could even see like Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman are there. They weren't supposed to be out. Apparently they flew out other talent too. Like they are putting everything they can behind this to make this like a show. So
yeah,
they'll do it right. We know that. we do know Tony Khan thought the world of them. So it'll be done right. But let's get back to regular programming, guys. Let's get to wrestling talk and more fun stuff. And we're gonna have a good time with the rest of the show. We don't need to bring everybody down. But why don't we do this? Why don't we talk about Rampage quickly? Because Rampage is actually a pretty good show. We'll take a little break. Kate, I don't know if you were on before. I got a box. We can run through the box real quick. It's the new crate. And then we'll talk about Dynamite after our break. But really quickly before we hit our break, why don't we talk about Rampage? Darby Allin defeated Juice Robinson to retain the TNT title. That was a hell of a match. Personally, guys, I think this did the same thing as the match against Mike Bennett. It really showed you sort of what, that match with Mike Bennett showed you what Mike had, and anybody who wasn't sure of what Mike Bennett was saw it. I think we saw the same thing in Juice on Friday night.
And I feel like we're seeing tonight by far, but like we're seeing different style matches out of Darby too. It's not so lather, rinse, repeat with like, oh my God, insane spot. Oh my God, fighting from underneath, coffin drop, avalanche code red in there at some point, right? Like these have felt like very different types of matches from Darby, which is really refreshing to see. We'll talk about the main tonight, but I thought it was his best match probably since MJF at Full Gear.
For sure. And I certainly, I don't want to bring it up here because we're going to talk about Darby again later, but I saw an interesting comment from somebody either on a comment on a story on a news site or on Twitter or something like that I'll post to you guys as we get into Darby later and him defending his belt. But we'll talk later. We did see Powerhouse Hobbs again talking about the Book of Hobbs and hurting everybody. Renee Paquette was on stage with the Acclaim. They did a whole gimmick with the Ass Boys in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That was pretty fucking bad. We're going to talk about them again later, so we don't need to dig into this, but it was pretty fucking bad. Swerve and the Mogul Affiliates promised to be the most violent and gruesome tag team in AEW in 2023. I'm still waiting to see something out of them, so don't know how that's going to hold up. But we do get Kate's boyfriend, Eddie Kingston, and Ortiz lose to the Kings of the Black Throne. And there was some more sort of pulling apart of that team of Eddie and Ortiz. They made it look like Eddie was going to hit Julia Hart with the chair, and Ortiz saw her scream, and now we're sort of driving a wedge between that team. Some interesting stuff. Kate, would Eddie ever hit a lady with a chair?
No, not
sure
babyface Eddie.
Not even gasoline carrying Eddie.
Kate's getting all hot and bothered.
The vapors. I'd really, shocker, loved this match. I'd loved Eddie Kingston sitting Indian style across from Malachi Black, like just making fun of him. Oh my God, I was in stitches. I thought the chair spot was really well done considering how cheesy a lot of those can look, because to me it felt like there was a game plan in House of Black with the way Buddy Matthews came down there with it. This match was a whole hell of a lot of fun, and really fun just to see Ortiz in action. Like, he's so great. It's nice to see him in the ring. So a fun story. I don't think Ortiz being in House of Black is the move, but I think House of Black splitting them up is fine, or if they end up gelling together, if you reform LAX for a trios thing or whatever. Like, I think there's a lot of really productive things that can happen there. But I thought this match was a blast. It was so fun to see Eddie in action.
And it should be mentioned too that after the match, the House of Black grabs Ortiz and they're talking to him before leaving, and then Ortiz gets in the ring and has choice words with Eddie. So he leaves, and Eddie's sort of standing there by himself in the ring. So, you know, a pretty interesting story going on Rampage, and we'll see where it goes next. Jade Cargill does pretty much confirm that Red Velvet is out of the baddies, so Layla Gray is the only one left. And then maybe one of my favorite segments of the night was Paul Walterhauser and the Golden Globe. And I'll tell you why it was one of my favorite moments of the night. He did talk about passing Connecticut to head to Jacksonville because, you know, you never know what's going to happen in AEW. And that's when Danhausen interrupts, and he wants the Golden Globe because he's the top merch seller in AEW. And Hauser's open to that idea, but they get interrupted by Jeff Jarrett and his crew, Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh and Sanjay. And Hauser starts to talk shit on Jarrett's gimmick. Sanjay Dutt puts his hands on him and gets punched by Paul Walterhauser. And then that's when Jay Lethal gets involved. Hauser gets sucker punched. Satnam Singh neutralizes Danhausen in the corner because he's such a huge person. And then Paul Walterhauser gets El Kabonged into infinity. And they steal his Golden Globe and make their way out. The reason that I love this was the fact that fucking Paul Walterhauser really took a fucking shot. I mean, that wasn't soft. He fucking took it. And I don't care if that guitar is gimmicked. You've got to take it. I was pretty
Cobra Kai training paying off.
I guess so. Stingray in the ring. Yeah, that's the real reason I love this segment. And I mean, of course, we're getting to the match we got tonight, right? So that's really how we're playing out. But yeah, seeing Satnam in the Sing hold Danhausen back just from his sheer size is amazing.
That was my favorite moment, holding Danhausen behind him.
Yeah, it was just those were the things I loved.
The Hauser and Hausen stuff was so great. The Golden Globe Hausens was really funny.
Yes. And then we're in our main event, and this is another one where I think I said to you guys at one point, like, this can go sort of either way. And hopefully based on the prior track record they've had with sort of these extreme women's matches, this would live up. I thought this lived up to the hype. I was very impressed by what I saw. A lot of color out of Ruby Soho. Tables, tacks. Willow looked fantastic. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. It took me like a good 5 minutes to realize, oh, Willow and Ruby came out in Dudley gear. Yeah. So really fun. Ruby Soho and Willow Nightingale wind up defeating Tay Mello and Anna Jay, with Ruby Soho hitting her finisher on Tay in the thumbtacks for the pinfall. Kate, I'm going to throw it to you again because you've been the most vocal, outspoken critic of the women's division. Did this live up to the hype for you? Because it did for me.
I ended up seeing parts of this despite my best efforts to stay in the bathroom. No, I thought this was great. I thought it was so fun at the Dudley gear, and that at one point Ruby goes, "Willow, get the tables." I thought it was so much fun. This was really, really great. And I think it certainly, after what we saw tonight, feels like we might be setting up for a women's Blood and Guts, which is awesome. But I think in general, matches like this are really good too, because it's a nice reminder for, like, I feel like the Anna Jay heel stuff hasn't been hitting as well. People are kind of real life burned out on Tay because they hate Sammy. A match like this is a reminder of, like, no, they're fucking great. They're badasses. They're here to work. I really, really like what that does as a palate cleanser. I thought Jericho was fantastic on commentary, talking about Tay having been on the streets of Brazil and that she's familiar with the street fight, and, like, really building her up in that way. Glad Anna Jay's okay with that table spot. That looked really scary. on the replay, it looks like maybe Willow's hips broke the fall, and hopefully, I mean, it happened on last Wednesday, right? So if something was really wrong, we would have found out before we even saw. But I thought overall it was great, and I feel like matches like this at the end of Rampage are like a blast. Like that's a perfect spot for a match like that. So kudos to them, man. That's painful shit.
and just so you know, Kate, I did read that the news did come out that Anna was okay after that spot. So yeah, everything wound up being fine. Schlong, do you want to add anything about this women's match? Did you see it? I don't even know. I'm sorry.
I mean, we were all asking, Anna, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Anna?
Yikes.
Okay.
You're going to be with this on a boat, Kate, for,
He is 2 floors above our cabin, thank God. So I am banking on that
door.
that quality time.
Knock on our door.
I'm not going to tell him what room we're in. But yeah, very glad she's okay, because that just looked like her head hit the concrete. That just looked scary.
Who set up the table? I'm not trying to be like, I can't remember.
I think like a props department, maybe.
Yeah, like,
was there somebody
that
in there?
was
It
the
looked
problem.
close. It looked way too close to.
There was no way for her to do that with the jump. Like she would have literally had to just walk off stage.
Willow actually set up the table early on, but I don't know if she placed the table. Like, you know what I mean? Like she was setting it up very early on when they jumped him on the ramp. That's when Ruby shoved her and said, Willow, get the tables. And she went down there to set it up. And then it broke up and they went to the ring and then eventually made their way back. So I don't know if that table was in that place the whole time or if somebody sort of moved it and got it in a spot where they thought it should be. But yeah, it definitely was questionable.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not trying to blame anyone. I was just curious because that's what it was. The table was just too close to the stage.
And she's doing that spot almost blind, the way that she has Anna up. Like you can't see shit when you're.
Oh, she was 100% blind.
Yeah, no way. No way you could even adjust. So
no.
Yeah,
to tell you the truth, they're lucky that the spot was for the sit down power bomb and not like a toss power bomb, because if she had tossed her.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if it was a sit out because that's what Bubba Ray used to do, right?
Oh no, that's exactly what it was. But I'm just saying they're lucky spot wise that's what Bubba did, because it saved her from with Willow landing first and all. But match was awesome. But I don't like women bleeding. Women should never bleed for any reason ever. Like never.
Do it every month, pal.
Really?
You do it every month.
Ryan, let me tell you something. You should love it when women bleed. You should. It's always good news.
Somebody dodged a bullet. No, I mean, Ruby was bleeding. This is my, I would say the same. I think it was like kind of like the Dustin versus Cody thing, where you start to be like, wow, that's a lot of blood. Like, is she okay type level of blood? And again, Dustin and Cody on one of the early pay-per-views had the same feeling to me, but it was totally appropriate for the match and totally appropriate for the feud they had. And listen, that's a graphic that they'll always have with her screaming and blood just pouring down her face.
Well, Dustin and Cody are not delicate women, is the difference there. But there's a lot of like dumb sexist tweets out there about it. But my favorite one that I saw was the thing with these death matches is there's actually a really extreme, like, or really close possibility of death. And I'm like, motherfucker, nobody has ever been out because of a thumbtack spot. Like, traditional wrestling is so much more dangerous than a lot of the stuff that they do in death matches. Of like, have you ever heard of anybody that was out because of blading or a pizza cutter? No, it's when you take a botched, like what happened with Big E, a botched suplex? Yeah, Hangman over-rotated on a lariat. Like, it's what a gross underestimation of how dangerous just traditional wrestling is, and a gross overestimation of what like holy shit visual actually is, because like I've never heard of anybody being out because of blading or tacks or anything like that. Maybe tables and stuff, but those aren't even just hardcore matches. But I'm like, Do you know how much more dangerous just a straight up regular poison rana is than
Oh,
taking a
100%.
blade? Like, just so.
I mean, death matches always are on the. They're always a little shaky with me, and you know that. Like, it's not my favorite brand of wrestling, but this was such a well told story. The moment she puts her hand on the thumbtacks to press up to like get in position, like that's a moment. Like the decision of like I'm gonna suffer through this to win.
I should also say TV death matches in particular, because there's some really scary, unsupervised, unnecessary risk in non-televised death matches. So
very fair.
I should clarify that, like, in the world of what we see on American television.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen any of the MBW death matches, but my goodness.
I heard they had to stop one because a guy got hit so hard he got knocked out.
Yeah, with a fucking hubcap.
Yeah. Insane. But yeah, no, I liked this match a lot. Willow is just a star now, which we'll talk about on when we get to Dynamite. But Willow's such a star that they used her very, very important spot.
Yeah, we're certainly going to talk again about the ladies here coming up. We're going to take a short break. We've gone pretty long in this first half, so let's take a short break. We've got old commercials, but they're commercials nonetheless for us to take a little break. And then we'll be back to talk about Dynamite here on the Mark Order podcast.
Everyone knows a lot of things can change in the span of 10 years. But when it comes to professional wrestling podcasting, one thing is still guaranteed. The Shining Wizards is the only place to get all the latest wrestling news, interviews with the greatest guests, and of course, tons of laughs in discussing the world of wrestling. The show is still available on Monday nights at 7 p.m. East on rantdmradio.com and Rant Entertainment Media on the TuneIn app. And it's still available on all podcasting platforms. To check us out, head over to shiningwizards.com, where it's still wrestling talk and talk about wrestling.
Because of the obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens, and because of the crisis which is even now developing, this radio station will remain on the air day and night. This station and hundreds of other radio and TV stations throughout this part of the country are pooling their resources through an emergency network hookup to keep you informed of all developments.
Horns up, everyone. When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure every Friday to check out Radioactive Metal. Radioactive Metal is one of the longest running podcasts on the interweb. And every week we bring you a fist full of metal, including interviews with all your favorite artists, discuss all the metal news, and feature the best tunes on the air today. So grab a Lemmy, join your cool Uncle Snowy and co-host Aaron in the pit.
Your recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting from the current to the way back. Join the Impact player Phil Brea and the Portuguese man of war Choppy for the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast, live every week on rantemradio.com. Get all our episodes over at iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Audio Boom, Google Play, ShiningWizardsNetwork.com, and TurnbuckleThrowbacks.com.
Are you tired of being told what to think and believe by Hollywood elites and politicians who just don't care about you?
Tired of not getting the truth when you watch the news?
Tired of trying to figure out what pronoun to use?
Tired of mob mentality when all you want to do is think for yourself and make up your own mind?
That's where we come in. This is Justin
and Vince,
your hosts of Inconclusive Breakdown.
We are a weekly anti-PC podcast bringing you entertainment and current event news without any spin.
If you want to truly stay informed on what's going on in the world, then give us a listen every Sunday, anywhere you get podcasts, at least till Zuckerberg and Twitter Jack deplatform us.
And as always, we're proud members of the Shining Wizards Network.
Tired of the PC police telling you what you can and cannot say? Want a show that travels back to the 80s and 90s, where the badass hosts have beaten down cancel culture on 3 separate occasions and carried on to gloat about it? Since 2013, The Midnight Jury is that show. Travel back to the malls and arcades, pop in your VHS, and join us where the 80s and 90s return from the dead. Conan, tell them where to find us.
WLWstudios.com, home of the Midnight Jury podcast, hosted by Midnight Mike and Calvin Brody. Also available on all major podcast platforms via the Shining Wizards Network, and join in the conversation on Twitter at Midnight Jury.
What's up, wrestling fans? You want something awesome? Check out Wrestling Night in Canada here on the Shining Wizards Network. We're 3 Canadian metalheads uniting for the love of pro wrestling. Every episode we go over all the latest news and special events with the odd unique interview as well. So grab a cold one and check out Wrestling Night in Canada, eh?
All right, we're back here on the Mark Order podcast. Let's see. Let's take care of some business right before we jump back to stuff. So
let's give people the business. Is that what you're saying, Ant?
We're giving them the business for sure. What the fuck happened to what I had in front of me? It's gone. Anyway. Make sure you're following us on all our social accounts. That's at Mark Order Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all the places. And if you're following us on one, make sure to hit our link tree up. There's a lot of good stuff in there, places to subscribe and listen on podcast platforms. Our YouTube episodes go up there. The latest episodes we have are there to watch in our link tree if that's something you want to do. You could also get some free stickers just by clicking the button to request some. Make sure you give us your name, your email address, your full mailing address, as well as the country you live in, and we'll send you out some free Mark Order podcast stickers. I lost my other sticker. I don't know where it went, but I'll send you a couple of the stickers we got free of charge. So if you want to support us, you can certainly do that. The other thing we have up is our Pro Wrestling Tees store. So make sure you head on over to prowrestlingtees.com/MarkOrderPod and you can check out all the shirts we have up for sale. We have 4 designs up. 2 of them are just the front. 2 of them are front and back. If you'd like to spend some hard-earned dollars on us, we appreciate it. And we thank everybody who does. So if you order a shirt, we'll give you a phone call and say thank you. We can shoot the shit for a few minutes. I owe a couple people some phone calls still. I know I said last week I'm going to do it this weekend, and then of course the weekend got away from me.
Oh, you don't care about our listeners, is what I heard.
I really do. Do not. But no, I'm just kidding. I totally do. So I owe a few people some phone calls, but certainly if you order a shirt from us, I'll give you a phone call and thank you in person. So thank you to all those who have ordered. I'll be talking to some of you soon. And that's all the business we have right now. So guys, I'll give you an option. I have a crate. I can hold this until next week. I won't look at it. Or I can look at the crate now and we can talk about Dynamite. It's up to you.
I vote next week, but I'm fucking exhausted.
No, that's fine. I'll hold it.
I think because we had to cover the Jay Briscoe, I think we should wait till next week.
It's fine. I'm gonna hold it.
I will. I do want to get one little thing, Crusaders. I got new glasses for the first time in 4 years, and it is really disorienting right now.
Because you can actually see.
Yes.
He sees how handsome I am.
My left eye could never appreciate you, Ant, and now it can.
Well, now he sees me in perfect 20/20 vision. Well, Ryan, we'll hopefully you don't pass out here because you're so disoriented.
I just had to point out, if you guys see my eyes like go wide at any point, chances are I'm just trying to figure out what I'm looking at, because it has been. I think I told Kate, my left eye, the prescription was so off that it was just as bad as if I wasn't wearing glasses. That's how.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, now he can see again, so that's good.
Yeah.
And he used his perfect vision to watch Dynamite tonight. It was quite a show. They did show a memorial graphic for Jay Briscoe at the start, and then we got into the regular show. And I guess I'm just going to ask this here right at the top, guys. They show the graphic. I was sort of a little surprised they didn't do like a 10-bell salute or anything at the top. Just a little surprised. I know it wasn't the brand, but it seems like something I sort of thought they were going to do.
I thought so too. I see Milwaukee Tom in the chat, and he was one of the first people I thought of when I heard this was the case because he's such a Briscoe's guy. I was definitely surprised, but I did have it in the back of my mind, like, this isn't a situation that's over. And there might have been discussions with the family about what to do. Like, there's so much that we might not even know about. Like, it's Mark's birthday, and his nieces are in the hospital. You know, like, it might have just been too much too soon. I think an ROH tribute show is an awesome way to go. But off the bat, I was surprised that we just kind of got a graphic and a commentary nod. But when they announced the ROH show later, it made a little sense. But my initial thinking was probably just like, it just happened, and the family might have been like, I can't even go there yet. There's still 2 kids in the hospital.
Just a comment. But they did their graphic, and we got into our first match of the night. Jay Lethal versus Orange Cassidy for the All-Atlantic Championship. And the stipulation that was put out earlier in the day was that Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh, and Jeff Jarrett can't touch anybody or get physical, or Sanjay gets fired. It doesn't matter who does it. Sanjay takes the bullet here. So Jay Lethal comes to the ring, and what I thought was pretty fun was he's looking around like, where are my people? And then he's looking up into the crowd, and he sees them and starts waving, and they come down and sit front row. And we start to get into the action, and then we see an usher come up behind them, and it winds up being Danhausen. And he asks to check their tickets. Their tickets look good, but he calls over some other people to sit in their seats. He's like, oh, they have seats here. And it winds up being the best friend. So now we have the best friend sitting ringside, as well as the rest of Jay Lethal's crew. And we get into the match. Danhausen is ringside for this as well. Let's cut to the end. Orange Cassidy does win by pinfall with the Orange Punch to retain the All-Atlantic Championship. There were some shenanigans. The guitar wound up getting passed into the ring. It didn't wind up becoming a factor. Danhausen was able to intercept and then cursed Jay Lethal and played a little ditty on the guitar. But post-match, the heels get in the ring. Jeff Jarrett wants to El Kabong, but Sanjay stops it. And then also Satnam Singh goes to chokeslam both the best friends, Trent and Chucky, but Satnam is able to stop that as well. And Orange Cassidy does wind up hitting the lazy kicks. And Dutt really wants to fight, but he's able to be held back, and they go to they leave the ring. So cooler heads prevail. Sanjay still has a job, and this was a pretty fun match, in my opinion. Ryan, let's go to you first.
Yeah, because I am clearly, the biggest Jarrett hater on here, so let me get that out of the way. No, I think this was actually a smart match to start the card off with. You just did the graphic. People are feeling sad, so do something a little cheerier, a little happier. That moment with Danhausen and the guitar has been cracking me up all night. Just his little going from the curse to playing was the funniest thing I've seen. Him as an usher. It was really good. And let's be honest, the match was good. Jay Lethal can wrestle. Orange Cassidy can wrestle, so he had a really good match. I liked the stipulation because it kept, while there were shenanigans, it kept the really bad ones from infecting the match itself. And the after was super funny. And Sanjay Dutt is just, he's been the best find in the longest time. I mean, he's so funny when he's like, stop it, I'm gonna get fired. Like, he's just so mad. Him and Danhausen are the 2 best comedic guys going at the moment.
They're so good. I thought this match was the right call to open with. I think it was definitely supposed to set the tone and change the energy from all of the sadness that we've had in the past day. The thing that I think we're missing, and I tweeted this, but like, as a society, I feel like we have not talked about the fact that Chuck Taylor is such a sex icon. Like, my God, the headband today, and the shirt, and the shades, and the hair slicked back. I mean, He's sexy Chucky T for a reason, and I feel like we haven't acknowledged it enough as a wrestling community. Love this match. I loved the slow rollaways from Orange Cassidy were so much fun because it made so much sense with the spots where Jay Lethal was going to the top rope and corner to corner, and he would just super slowly roll away. Was a really fun use of his gimmick. But definitely two guys that can go at the end of the day. Danhausen's hilarious. It did make me laugh that they were sitting in the same spot that Stokely would sit when the baddies were out. And I was like, man, Stokely used to get popcorn and they get Danhausen as an usher. That's rough. They got the short end of that stick. So, but a lot of fun in this opener and a lot of necessary fun. It's been a really sad 24 hours. The opening graphic is what everybody was thinking about. And so to kind of a lot of pressure on the talent to go out there and do that. But I think it was a good idea to set the tone with that. They were also apparently playing the Briscoes theme in the arena as well, which I think is a nice touch. A nice touch. But I thought it was a really good match. I don't know if it opens the show under other circumstances, but I thought it was fantastic.
And it should be mentioned too, Jay Lethal was sporting the Briscoe armband because he's definitely got a history. So that was a nice touch. And Kate, to your point about rolling away from the top rope spot, that was fantastic. And it also came into play again when Jay Lethal hit the lethal injection. He slowly rolled out of the ring, just out of reach, and that was a smart move. So yeah, fun opener. Good way to start the show after a down, sort of 12 to 24 hours. And we get a little video package hyping up the main event, which was Kushida and Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. Out of that, we go into our first tag match of the night, Top Flight versus the Young Bucks. And what a match this wound up being. I don't know what you thought you were going to get, but it definitely lived up to the hype plus more. Noted here, the Young Bucks both sporting Heart J armbands. They also hit the Doomsday device during the match, which is the Briscoes' finishing maneuver. Didn't wind up getting them the win, though, because Top Flight is able to win by pinfall with a victory roll from Darius on Matt Jackson. And then nothing after the match, we go to break. But the interesting thing here is, for me at the very least, I think this match went the exact way it needed to go. I think that this is where the Bucks had to lose and give this nod to Top Flight. Top Flight showed you in this match that they can go with anybody. And I don't think anybody had that doubt in their mind. But if you did, that should be gone now because they looked fucking fantastic in this match. So did the Bucks. The Bucks don't disappoint. But this match was great. Kate, what'd you think about this one?
I thought this was great. That powerbomb nosedive combo move. Dante almost cleared him on the nosedive. Like, man, he gets such insane height on these things. Really, really, really good match. Nick Jackson, especially, and not to take away anything from Matt Jackson, but Nick Jackson's just absurd. I thought this was fun. I was somewhat surprised, but Top Flight's faced them a few times and never won, so this is kind of like a nice level up. And if you wanted to do a trios program with them and AR Fox, this is a really nice gateway into that. I think that could be really fun. But I thought the match was just fantastic, as kind of to be expected. I'm just so blown away every time I see Dante in the ring and Nick Jackson in the ring and both these teams in the ring. That's not to take away from Matt or Darius, but like, just holy cow, and a lot of fun, and they are familiar with each other, so it was just nice to see that. Like, very they all looked very, very comfortable considering how fast-paced and acrobatic this match was. Like, really, really, really impressive stuff. So a bunch of fun, a really fun tag match. Thought that considering the circumstances too, the way that they built out the show was really good. It was like silly, and then it was like fun teams, but like a little bit more holy crap in the ring, and then we get to like Danielson and Bandito, which was like all just pure wrestling. Like, it really held your hand through the show tonight. But this was a nice transitional move move into that, but just a fantastic tag match. And the Bucks are trios champions, not tag champions, right? So it's fine. I'm fine with that.
And I think commentary also sort of called out, like, they've been through a lot over the past, like 8 weeks or 9 weeks, however much. So it sort of, it made sense from that standpoint. But I think when you take a step back and you look at the bigger picture, it's like the Bucks had to give this one up. And I'm glad that they did. I think it was the right move. And they'll move on to other stuff. They helped Top Flight look fantastic tonight. Not like Top Flight needs a lot of that help, but they certainly looked like superstars tonight. Schlong, what'd you think of the tag?
Oh, this just buried the Bucks. What are they doing? They'll never recover from this. No, I mean, this was great. The match was amazing. All the tribute stuff was great. And like you just said, I love that they called out that they just had this huge best of 7. They're beat up. They're not the same Bucks they were at the beginning. It's going to be a while before they can be, which protects them, but doesn't take away from Top Flight's victory. So it really just makes everyone, and Top Flight needed it, especially after losing to the Blackpool Combat Club twice in a row. They needed a big win to be like, hey, we're still here, we're alive. There's a couple teams that obviously are could be their next big thing, but I think Top Flight's right there. If they play their cards right, you could easily see them being, the next huge stars. The one thing they need to work on a little bit is promos, just a little bit. They don't need, again, in AEW, you don't need huge, but they don't ever deliver really any. But aside from that, they are, the way their matches go, they're primed to be the next huge team in AEW.
More so than Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, you think?
Well, no, they are the best team in AEW right now.
Oh, okay.
Truth bomb.
I'm saying the next. Yeah.
I mean, neither of them are the hottest boy in AEW, which is all I really care
Well, the
about.
hottest boy in AEW is a whole different discussion. By the way, I think he's going through eras of clothing. I've decided.
Pretty Pete?
Because Pretty Peter had the long, like 70s style hair with the mustache and the robe. Now, if you look at him, he comes out with an 80s style jacket. He's got the shorter hair and he's got like 80s style sunglasses. I think he's doing 80s right now. I think we're going to see 90s grunge Peter sooner rather than later. And then I hope we get 2000s emo Peter.
Oh no, it'll ruin it. It'll ruin it for me. Danny
we could hit a new metal phase. He could do Jinkos and ball chains and stuff like that.
Phase, yeah.
There's a lot of ways we can go with this, Kate.
He could be a Limp Bizkit fan.
The Good Doctor would love an emo face. I almost want that for your brother.
It's all right. We don't care about that. All right, let's keep moving. After the commercial break, the Ass Boys make their entrance to the ring and get on the mic. They're complaining about the Acclaimed embarrassing them last week, and they say that they made the Acclaimed what they are, and that will be the last time that they're ever embarrassed. Well, enter the Acclaimed, and Billy Gunn tries to get his sons in line, but they run off and get on the mic, and he says he's sick of and tired of, and of course, I'm sorry, I left out the whole middle part. There's a battle rap. They try to stop the mic. Who cares? Let's just get to the point. As they start to sort of fight, Billy Gunn sort of separates it. He tries to get everybody in line. The Ass Boys sort of run off, and he gets on the mic and says that he's tired of them whining, and he tells his adopted sons, the Acclaimed, that they're the tag team champions. They need to start acting like it. And next week, they're going to sit down and hash out. He's got 2 words for you: family therapy. So we saw this really bad thing on Friday with the Hollywood Walk of Fame and the asses in the fucking concrete. And we get this tonight, leading to family therapy next week. Now, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'll say this. It could be fun with the Acclaimed in family therapy. But I'm just like, can we get to wherever we're going? You know what I mean? Like, I'm sort of like, can we just get to a match? Like, if they're building this all the way to Revolution, it's going to be a long fucking road.
If we get, with this tag division, if we get the Guns versus the Acclaimed at a pay-per-view, I'm going to be bummed. I actually have resigned myself to the fact that sometimes on Rampage we get like juvenile humor. So that segment didn't bother me as much because they seem to do that, and I've kind of just accepted it because I'm like, 10:45 at night or whatever on a Friday. Like, so that actually didn't bug me because I just have come to expect it. But
I want to be clear. I'm not saying that it bugged me. It was just bad. It was just not really well done.
It wasn't. Asses going into concrete doesn't always get asses into seats. You know what I mean? But I legit laughed out loud when Billy Gunn said family therapy today.
Oh yeah.
That was so good. So this could be fun. I hope it's not a Revolution build. I feel like that would be way too much. Maybe someone else comes in to interfere in some way or whatever. I think this would be really fun. The Acclaim versus the Dark Order could be really fun. The Acclaim versus Private Party could be really fun. I would love to see the Workhorsemen on television. I'm not sure why Anthony Henry and JD Drake aren't on my television, but this is what we're doing with our tag champs, I guess.
I love it.
Of course you do.
No, listen, I like fun and I like a little bit of the Ass Boys. And how much do 4 people, actually 5 if you count Daddy Ass.
I like a little bit of the Ass Boys, 151-27-ish. Okay.
Yep. How much do 5 people owe to Danhausen mixing up names? Because calling them the Ass Boys changed them. It changed the Acclaimed. They all would probably do well without it, but it just gave them that thing that they all needed. I like the silliness. I mean, listen, I want this to be my Revolution feud, not. Yes, no, I'm with you, Kate. Don't be my Revolution food. But am I okay with it right now? Yeah, I think it's fun. I want to see where they're going with it. They do need to start establishing who the next team's going to be. I don't think it's Top Flight yet, so you got to give me someone. Probably Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal would be the best call you could make. Give them the belts for an extended run.
They just had a feud with them, Ryan.
They deserve a rematch.
Yeah,
they already had a rematch.
No,
they deserve a rematch for the rematch.
Yeah. Third time's a charm.
You're going on a boat with me and you're going overboard. I don't know how I'm going to get you, but you.
Okay, let's be fair here. How are you getting me overboard?
I don't know. I'll talk to some friends.
I mean, I don't drink, so you won't be able to get like a woozy me and push me over. You're like half my size. I don't think the physics support you there, Kate.
First of all, you know how big, like physically, the person that is my cabin mate is. She's my heavy.
Oh yeah, huge. She's like,
definitely not
the
like
size of my right arm.
3.
Yeah.
Second of all, I can make friends on a boat. We're going overboard. I actually had something nice to say about the Ass Boys today, and that I thought it was actually pretty good to have. I almost forgot to mention this. They were like, we're the reason you're over. I thought it was really good because it's kind of true. That was well played.
It's the ass, Scissor Me Daddy Ass made that really help the Acclaim that. They'd be over anyway, but it took them to the the stratosphere. Mike Peterson doesn't like fun, by the way, and that makes sense. Boo, Mike Peterson.
And completely unrelated, my favorite Danhausen renaming of things is for, I don't know why, but when he calls Stone Cold Steve Austin Cold Steve, I can't.
Oh my God.
I lose. Cold Steve or Rock the Dwayne Johnson is also really good, but Cold Steve for whatever reason.
I like Tony Elite a lot.
Tony Elite's really good.
He's so good. But yeah, I mean, listen, again, not for Revolution, but for right now, I'm enjoying it. They need to start establishing who is going to be the team for Revolution pretty soon. But Kate's going overboard on the cruise, I've decided.
You're both vowing to put each other overboard.
Yeah, but
you have more common than you think. More in common than you think.
He goes overboard every episode, you know what I mean?
Whoa.
Hey, yo.
Well, we'll get to see what family therapy looks like next week. But
we do ours on air.
That's right. After that segment, we get a backstage interview with Renee and Hangman Adam Page. And he says, she asks how he's doing. He says physically he's fine, but Mox took something from him in their first match. He feels like this win at least gives him his word back. And she says John told her that Page pushes him to be a better version of himself, and he loves him and despises him for it. So Hangman says if Moxley has anything to say to him, he can say it to his face. And he's asked about what's next. And he says he's got fences to mend, or fences that need mending, but he doesn't want to be overly specific about it, and I'll just leave it at that. So, the interesting thing here to me, guys, is this could take us in like 8 different directions. Like, so I'm not sure if they know where they're going yet, but like just at the top, it could be the Bucks and the Elite. It could be the Dark Order. It could be Adam Cole. I mean, there are just those 3 ways right off the bat that they could sort of go with this, depending on where they want to go next with Hangman Adam Page. And all of those possibilities to me are really exciting. So
Maybe CM Punk.
I don't think it's CM Punk, but
It could be though.
it's not.
I know, but
It's not. But I listen. All I know is this.
It could be Bow Wow.
It's not. We're gonna talk about Bow Wow.
It's Lil Bow Wow.
We're gonna talk about Bow Wow after
Wow,
this.
wow, yippee yippee yay.
But I will say this. I just want to see more Hangman in some way. So I want, this has me interested, and I don't know. What do you guys think? Ryan, let's go to you first. What do you think here?
I told you it's CM Punk.
What do you think about the whole thing?
I'm
Okay.
excited to see what they're doing with Hangman. Obviously, they got some story in play. Truthfully, if you're asking me what I want, not giving the troll CM Punk answer, I want it to be the Dark Order and the rebuilding of the Dark Order. Since they're not breaking them up, rebuild them. Like you had a choice. If you're not going to break them up, rebuild them, and this could be the start where he's like, I gotta help you guys out to be what you once were. That would be cool.
I think Adam Cole Baby could be a really fun Adam and Adam on the right side together. Could be a very fun thing. Excuse me. My preference is also the Dark Order because I want them on my television. And I feel like we were probably going to have more of a story there, right? Between like when the Elite won the first time, like they were probably going to make a feud out of that. So that could also be something that's super fun. Yeah, I think you could go so many ways with that. I loved him saying, I'm not going to be specific, because that's the first thing that Renee should ask him, right? And I also loved, he just really solidified that he was a babyface in a lot of ways tonight. And one of them was like, he definitely motioned to be like, hey, tell John, to get better or whatever. Like there was that, like, he was going to say something and then he didn't moment, I think was like a really nice touch in all of this. And also just Renee is so fucking good, man. Renee's so good. Like she's a full-on character on the show. They acknowledge that she and Moxley are married in real life, but they don't do it in this super pandering way. Like she's still her own person. But I really, really love the balance that they've been striking with like, hey, everybody knows they're married, but we're not going to make it so that she's John Moxley's wife who happens to interview here. Like, no, she's her own damn person. So she's just so fantastic at her job. And yeah, I think this is great. This is some of my favorite work Hangman's done, to be honest. Like I've really, really liked this stretch.
Yeah. I think we're on the verge of something really good with Hangman Adam Page here coming back from his injury. And I think that any way they go could be a lot of fun. I like what both of you guys said. If it's the Dark Order, that could be a lot of fun. A rebuild, sort of brand of what the Dark Order is, could be totally fun. If it is Adam Cole, which could make sense too, because right now Adam Cole doesn't have anybody in his corner, right? So maybe having something for the time being with Hangman and Adam Cole could be worth something. In my opinion, if you do something with the Elite, that could also be fun, but where does he sort of sit in that mix, right? Because Kenny is the third in the trio. So that could cause some headbutting between Kenny and Hangman, and they have a history, right? So could be a lot of fun. It should be interesting. Hopefully that we start to see the picture emerge a little bit in the coming weeks. But all interesting stuff out of Hangman. And then we go to Jake Hager versus Absolute Ricky Starks. Something I have to call out for you guys that I thought was just perfect. I don't know if you guys noticed the graphic when Jake Hager comes out. This was the first time I noticed it. It said Jake Hager with his hat at
with
the
Jericho
bottom.
and his hat, I think it's.
Yeah. And then I also realized tonight for the first time, if it's something they just did, then they need to do this and start selling it. I realized that his purple hat embroidered on it says, "I like this hat."
Oh yeah.
If they're not selling those, they're fucking up. Like, that would be perfect. Anyway, let's cut to the end of this. Ricky Starks wins by pinfall with the spear. Post-match, Starks leaves through the crowd because the numbers game is about to take over. And things clearly aren't done between him and the JAS. Listen, we've said it week over week. Ricky's a star. We've seen these feuds with the JAS before. This feud is doing the same thing for Ricky. It's setting him up for success, the further he goes. Now, we'll get to sort of what they announced after the commercial break here. But I don't want to see this go on too long, but I think this is doing what it needs to do for Ricky. Every time he is in the ring or doing a segment with these guys, he's becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger fan, or a bigger star with the fan base. So I have no problem with this. And this match I thought was actually really good. So Kate, let's go to you first, because you're not a Jake Hager fan, but you are a Ricky Starks fan. What'd you think here?
Well, I also contest your premise that the JAS has been productive in these long feuds, because it did fuck all for Eddie Kingston and fuck all for Claudio. So I don't know, but I will say that A, I don't think that's Jericho's fault. That's just bad booking's fault on the follow-up. And B, this is how good Ricky Starks is. I kind of liked a Jake Hager match that was on my television tonight, and I don't like Jake Hager matches. I like Ricky Starks matches. One bump where it looks like he might have fucked up his ankle, so I hope he's okay. But this was, I think, probably Jake Hager's best match that I can think of in singles competition, at least. I felt like this. Oh, well, he faced Danielson, right? So, but that's just not fair. Like, that's just an unfair measuring stick. But in human mortals here, I think this was probably his best one. And the best part about this whole match, the best part in the whole wide world, outside of Jake Hager wearing his hat to wrestle and then Ricky wearing the hat later, Ricky Starks ran off into the crowd because he wasn't going to let the numbers game beat him, because he's not a fucking idiot. I like when faces are smart people, and I like that we didn't get another godforsaken Jericho beatdown after this match, but it just made him look really smart. He got his win and he got the fuck out of there. I think it's cool. If we get Ricky Starks versus Garcia out of this, hell yeah. We get Ricky Starks versus Sammy out of this, hell yeah. My guess is we're leading to Ricky Starks and Jericho at Revolution, and I don't have a problem with that as long as it ends after Revolution. Also a little confused as to where Action Andretti fits in all this, because that's the bigger story here, right? Is between Jericho and the Action fella. So I'm intrigued how that eventually comes back into play. But this was the most palatable Jake Hager's ever been to me, outside of Danielson, which is just cheating. It's like when you use bacon on food. You're like, well, that's just cheating. You're going to put bacon on something. Yeah.
Makes sense. And just because you mentioned Action Andretti before we get your take, Ryan, after the commercial, there was a backstage segment, and Jericho said that he wants a match against Starks and Action Andretti next week with Sammy Guevara as his partner, so the Sex Gods getting back together. But Garcia is there, and he says he wants to be his partner, and Sammy tells him that he could definitely have that spot if he beats Andretti on Rampage this week. And he even got him some new ring gear. And Jericho said, "Oh, I'll take that. If you win, I'll get to you in a second, Kate." He says, "If you win, it'll be Garcia Co. Next week," which I don't know if I love that name. But also, one of my favorite things about that interview segment was the fact that Guevara kept like putting his arm around Garcia, and Garcia kept like moving it, and he just wouldn't stop. So The reason I even bring this up is because, Kate, you mentioned it, let's see what happens with Andretti and Jericho, and clearly they're sort of folding this whole picture together, right?
Wait, I have a question.
Yes, question.
It's for Ryan.
Sure.
Dark aficionado. What was Garcia debuted a new finisher on Dark, right? I thought I saw it in a GIF going around, and it looked nasty. He fucking
is it? I mean, he did. I don't know what it like. I don't think they have a name for it. I didn't hear it. I don't know if that's his finisher going forward or not. I hope so, but he did try some stuff out.
Yeah, it looked awesome from how I saw that match finished. So, just good to see him getting reps still, because I think he's so damn good. So damn good. I want a Reese's. Can I have one?
Sorry, they're just sitting here. Here you go.
Kate, you have no idea how much I wish you had one at your place. Yourself. I'm like, got it.
Reach down. But yeah, Ryan, you can talk about your thoughts on the match and the segment after. I remembered seeing that GIF go around, and I was like, damn, that looks like a cool finisher.
Yeah, well, I don't think I don't really listen to the commentary often, so I can't remember what they called it. But he's been looking really good. Whenever he wrestles there, he looks really good. I feel like that's where he goes to
work out.
Try out. Yeah. This match was great. Ricky, I will say it every time, Ricky Starks has the best spear in wrestling. Just the way he launches his body is better than anyone else's. I like that hat. And Kate covered my favorite part, which is him running out of the ring, because that's what he should do. And that may normally running isn't considered a cool thing, but in that case it is. It's like, I know what you're doing, and I'm better than you at it. I got away. So that was great.
Break bucket hat or Kangol hat?
For who?
In general, for yourselves.
I don't wear either.
Neither, because my head is too big.
Okay, fine. In general.
If I had, wait, what's your difference though?
On Daniel Garcia, let's say, did you
Kangol on Daniel Garcia?
Bucket hat or Kangol?
And I just want to make sure I'm understanding the difference between the two. The bucket hat is flat top. The Kangol has a rounded top.
Bucket hat is like what Jake Hager had on tonight.
Right, has a flat top.
The Kangol is the...
Oh, you're talking like the newsy cap.
Yeah, but like
Kangol's
leather.
Kangol's just the brand.
Right, yeah.
So
but like...
The default is the newsy, but like leather badass looking one. Like Michael Scott had on.
Yeah, also the Bucks. The Bucks sported them in their.
Yes.
And you're asking about for who? For me, if I had to pick one?
I mean, it was just kind of a general question.
If I had to pick one to rock, it would be the newsy cap.
Okay.
Front ways.
I want to sell my papes.
Not back ways.
Okay, what about on Ricky Starks?
Okay, no, bucket.
Oh wow, okay.
Everyone needs to sell papes.
It's true.
Got to get that paper.
It's a fine life.
So Ryan, I don't know if you finished your thoughts there. I just want to make sure you buttoned up your.
Yeah, I'm good. Otherwise, I'm going to start singing Newsies, so we're better.
Okay. So then we get into our next match because we already covered the post-match setup. Bandito versus the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. And remember, this is sort of Danielson's got to win out here to get to a 60-minute Iron Man match against MJF at Revolution. This was a hell of a match. Cutting to the finish, Danielson wins by pinfall with the Busaiku knee. And then post-match, MJF appears on the big screen and cuts a promo. He says he hears everything Danielson and the fans say about him not deserving his spot, but people seem to have forgotten who he is and how he became the world champion. He takes that personally. Fickle is an understatement, and Bryan doesn't understand that he's only been dealing with a masked Max. And masked Max likes to keep things light and have fun, but the closer we get to Revolution, the more the mask will slip, and nobody wants that. He may think he's a dragon, but a dragon is no match for the monster behind the mask. And then we move on to our next thing. So, Schlong, I'm going to go to you first. What do you think of the match and the promo afterwards?
So first of all, Kyle's K Sparks got my Newsy reference, and he should feel blessed that I literally didn't continue singing the rest of it because I could. Second of all, a lot of fun. I mean, trying to think of a moment, and I'm blanking. Okay, go real quick while I'm going through my head because I'm blanking on the moment I want to talk about.
I can't even pick a moment. This whole thing was 18 minutes long and just fire from the start. Really, just like insane stuff here between Danielson and Bandito. Unsurprising that it was going to be that great, but like just the way that they laid their shit in and the fact that they went a million miles an hour and didn't miss a step this entire time, like just fantastic. Danielson is so absurd, and I'm trying to think. There was a reversal I remember at this that blew my mind, but I can't remember the specific spot. But I didn't take notes because I was just watching the whole time. Like matches like that, the ones that I have no notes for are the ones that I'm like this, or they're the ones I'm like, and those are usually Tuesdays. But this was just, I mean, like, if you said it was a match of the year contender, I couldn't argue with you. I'd probably break Omega Ospreay over this, but just really, really, really good. Like, very fun. This is kind of what I wanted out of Danielson the whole time, of like matches like Takeshita and Bandito, where it's just like, these guys are phenomenal. Let's see what they can do against the best wrestler in the world, probably. Thought this was fantastic. Loved MJF's promo after. I think because, well, we didn't have a problem with it. A lot of people did last week too, to steer into something that's a completely different style is fun. I was just always under the impression that the man in the mask was Excalibur. So I don't know. I guess it's
man in the mask.
I kept thinking of Phantom actually.
I just think that Leo's the man in the Iron Mask.
That's a very fair point.
I remembered what I was thinking of though, and I couldn't. You know how before the match they kept talking about how strong Bandito was?
Yes.
I love that. It's almost like they talked about what spots were happening when he had Danielson up for the suplex and he held him there. And I just loved how, like, before the match, like, he's so strong and he gets to prove it. And I thought that was a nice little, like, moment.
Taz was like, you don't have to be big to be strong. I was like, that was personal for you, wasn't it, buddy?
I was laughing my ass off when I heard that. I'm like, uh-oh, someone's got some demons. But the fact that he held him right after but when they had said that, it was like, okay, good. He proved it. You don't just tell fans that. Let them see it then. And they could see that he is strong and he is good. I also liked how they talked about the mask over the mouth. It's not common. And I thought that was a nice little detail. I mean, this three-man boost is pretty good. Taz adds a lot because Taz is willing to go through and be like, here's what this does and here's what this does. And this is why you do that. And I really like he provides the realism on commentary that you need, which is where he breaks down. And when Jericho's good on Rampage, which has been a lot more lately, it's when he does things like, this is why this works. So really appreciate it. But yeah, that was the moment I couldn't think of. I knew it was something in the commentary, but it was that they were talking up his strength because he's not a big guy. And
yeah,
to hold him up. But that match, I'm with Kate. If he said it was match of the year, I mean, truthfully, it's insane that we're in January and we've had 2 match of the year candidates. And this was just on a Dynamite.
Yeah.
Right.
And neither of them involved Ray Phoenix, which is normally the case.
Right. And Schlong, to your point about the strength, the best part of that suplex was the fact that he gets him up and then he starts leaning and then he lifts him back up to proper, perpendicular. I mean, it was just perfectly done.
Fucking love Bandito.
Yeah, Bandito's fantastic. Very cool look too, to have the bandit mask over his face, just like his name.
I wasn't as familiar with his ROH run as I could have been, like, because again I came in late on that. But just if you package him right, he's got a lot he can offer.
And this Danielson kid's pretty good too. I think he's going to be big someday.
Yeah, he'll never be anything.
Yeah, he looks like a goat.
He's too little.
Yeah, I mean he's
just a little guy.
He's a vegan too, so he can't be that strong. So guys, before they go to break, they do get a video promo package for Toni Storm, from Toni Storm, Saraya, and Shida. where Tony Storm talks about how she's winning tonight, and Saraya then warns Sheeta to stay in the back. We go to break. So they also make mention in that Tony Storm is like, these homegrown girls don't get it. We get it. So let's not speak about this for now. We're going to pass this because that match is coming up. The only thing I'm going to say is, hate to say I told you so. Anyway, moving on. We do come back from commercial and we're backstage because we were just informed that the next opponent for Danielson next week is Brian Cage. And Prince Nana and Cage are being interviewed when MJF rolls up. And he says he's got a big envelope of money, more than they'll ever see, and says it's theirs, win or lose, if they can break Danielson's arm. And Brian says they can probably work that out. And MJF slaps him in the fucking face. Almost like somebody in the slap league. And then Cage grabs him by the neck. Nana's able to talk him down. And Max says that feeling is hate, and there's no greater motivator. He should use it next week. So they take the money, and we'll see what Brian Cage has for Danielson next week. But interesting, MJF up to his old heel tricks, offering some money, huh? But that should be a fun match. Definitely clash of styles. So it'll be fun to see. The other thing too is, guys, if my memory serves me, was I'm trying to keep track. The match last week against Takeshita, that was a submission win, right? He passed out. Technically,
Yes.
It's a submission win. They called it. This week, pinfall. So what do you think he's going to do with Cage? Pinfall or submission?
Ooh, probably. I'm gonna say a sneaky pinfall, where he's
Tickles
or
him to
you
the
know
wind.
what? You could do the crossface would be a really fun spot with him though. That would be if he just can't reach the rope. But I feel like a sneaky win keeps him protected, and MJF can be all pissed off about it. But that slap reminded me of Regal a little bit. I think that was supposed to be the psych yourself up thing. He's leaving doors open for if him and Regal ever cross paths again, was how I read that. But it was a hell of a slap. So, and I also love Prince Nana being like, dude, the money. Don't get too pissed off at him. Think about the money.
No, he is. I'm so glad they brought him back.
My favorite
been
Shining
great.
Wizards guest probably of all time. Go listen to that interview.
So we're lined up that for next week, but we go into Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale. What's our next match?
The Takeshita promo too here?
Looking. No, that comes later before the main event. We'll get there. Don't worry.
It just made me laugh real hard.
It was perfect. So then we get into Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale. Saraya is out with Tony Storm. We're going to cut to the finish here. But at one point, Sheeta does make her way to the ring. So she does not stay in the back. Towards the end of this match, Saraya gets up on the apron, jawing, and the referee is able to sort of, turn his back. Tony Storm takes advantage of that. She hits the schoolboy pin for the win. And then post-match, Saraya blindsides Willow, and she and Tony start putting the boots to her. Sheeta gets on the apron. She's in shock, but then Ruby Soho comes down to make the save. And the heels just sort of, well, I say heels, but who knows? Saraya and Tony Storm and Sheeta start to make their way off. And we're on to the next thing. So we're going to pause there. But guys, the reason I hate to say I told you so is because I think I called this last week, saying I think that Tony Storm is going to turn and we're going to do this sort of original versus outsiders, whatever. Now, I'm not going to lie, I was looking for Ruby Soho to turn on Willow in that moment. It would have been huge if that happened. But maybe we'll get there. I think they could go there, but we'll see what happens. I don't think Sheeta's going to stick around with Saraya and Tony Storm. or she'll stick with them, and then eventually it'll become too much, and she's going to turn away. But yeah, it looks like Tony is going to be the one who's turning. Maybe Sheeta's not going to make that turn. But I thought this match was pretty good. We saw some good stuff out of Willow. Tony showed us some good stuff in this match too, working more aggressive, more heelish. So I didn't have a problem with this, and the post-match stuff was fun. So I don't know where to go first here. I'm going to go to Ryan first here because I think Ryan might have been like, if Sheeta doesn't turn, I'm going to be so pissed.
I was pissed because they had Sheeta bring out a kendo stick as a face and put it in the ring, which is not a face move. So she should have just turned then. Like, I don't like when they do things that are opposite the character. That's why I was pissed. It's opposite her character to cheat like that. That still annoys me. I'm okay with this turn. I'm okay that it's Tony. I'm okay that it's Saraya. I would point out they used Willow to garner the sympathy. They chose that Willow was the most not maybe the most, but one of the most lovable characters they have. And if you're going to get people to hate on you, you have them turn on Willow. I mean, that says a lot for Willow. They didn't just turn on some random because that wouldn't have worked. It had to be someone people cared about. And they chose Willow. So I was very excited for her, even though she was getting beat down. I knew Ruby wasn't going to turn this time because they're going to say, my feeling is they're going to save that for the next moment. Like, you have one turn tonight, and then the next turn happens in a tag match or something. They're going to have...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just saying they're going to have to clearly define what they mean, though, by, like, originals versus, like, non-originals. Because, like, there really should just... Because, like, Willow's not an original. She's mostly, like, AEW's where she's AEW homegrown talent in the sense of, like, that's where she'll get over. But she wasn't there day one. So they're going to have to establish that a little bit of, like, what do you mean when you say originals?
I mean, I think in so many words, they're saying former WWE talent versus indie/AEW talent. And 100%. I think we all know that.
I do, but I just think they need to come out be a little bit like, if you weren't with us in bigger places, you're not with us here.
No, they don't. Here's why. Ready?
Let's hear it.
You're going to have Ruby Soho tell them, you guys all walked out on WWE. I got released. And she's going to stay on the face side of things. And Britt Baker is going to say, I don't care who's on what side of things. I want to be with the best talent. And then you keep Britt heel and you keep Ruby face. And I think that could be a really, really fun wrinkle. And I think because the numbers would be lopsided, there's still like a spot on the face side. I'm not even going to entertain that it's Mercedes because that would be like just absurd at this point. But I think a returning Thunder Rosa or Chris Statlander, if you're going to do a blood and guts on the face side, could be really fun. But I love the idea of dissension of those two things. And I think you really want Jamie Hayter and Britt to be on opposite sides, unless you're going to have Britt turn on Jamie in this match to set up something else. But man, Saraya and Tony were released in a different way, though. Tony walked out of Madison Square Garden because she was sick of being called Tony Two Pies. She walked out of Madison Square Garden after fighting Charlotte Flair and was like, nah. So she was technically released, but she wanted out. And Saraya wanted to come back to wrestling, and they weren't willing to clear her, which I actually think is understandable given her injury. But so released, yes, Ruby was a part of like kind of a different way. But I also just think it could be fun of Ruby Soho being like, it doesn't even have to be that. It could be like, I don't care who's outsiders or insiders. This is my home or whatever. And Britt could be like, I don't care. I want to be with the best talent. I want to be on this side. It could be a really, really, really thing. A really, really fun thing. Jesse, yeah, they called Tony Storm Tony Two Pies and implied like pies by her tits in a feud with Charlotte Flair because we have to have sexual baked goods.
Ruby just needs to be like, my destination was unknown until I got here.
I was Ruby Soho.
Yeah. I should have been Ruby Soho the whole time.
She's so over And she's so I saw just both sides of her in WWE, and I think she's just makes way more sense as a face. But I would have also said that about Danielson, and I thought his heel shit was awesome. So very possible that she could be a great heel, and it's just a different environment. But like, I don't know. I ride the Ruby as overtrade, or she might
You also
just
have
say,
Athena.
You also Athena is I'm thinking on the heel side if you're doing a blood and guts match, but she fits into that category too. Whoa, hi Daphne.
Well, Athena's heel, so that's what I was thinking. Like Athena's very heel at the moment.
That fits perfect. So that whole side is kind of fleshed out. I think that could. I hope that's what they're leading to. I think this could be really, really fun. You could even just have Ruby be like, "I'm not turning my back on Willow." It could be that simple. Like, no, she's my friend. But I think it would be interesting if there was dissension within those kind of more clear storylines, because I think you want to keep Britt heel and you want to keep Ruby face. But that's just me.
Well, it's going to be fun to see how they work this out. But they could go a mix match, heels and faces. Listen, I just know this. Saraya working heel is a lot of fun. I'm all for that. I think personally, Toni Storm heel will give her something more to do, because she was a face sort of in that whole thing with Thunder Rosa because of all the negative connotations Thunder Rosa had sort of put upon her from all the rumors of her, and the videotape evidence that she was sort of sandbagging stuff. So Toni was sort of the face, but then she sort of got lost. So I feel like a heel Toni Storm could pull her back into, the picture a little bit. Either way, I'm interested in seeing how this plays out.
Match was great too, by the way. We
Match
barely
was
talked
good.
about it, but really, really strong. And Toni Storm, just since she's walked in, has been one of the most consistent workers in there. And Willow is over like Rover, but she's kind of understated in how valuable she's been. I feel like Toni Storm.
Yeah, she's been consistently good in the ring. That's all that matters for that division. So they do hype up the card for next week. One of the matches they mentioned was Ethan Page versus Jungle Boy and Stoke, and Ethan Page cut a promo on Jungle Boy. One of the other names that I was very excited to see, I don't remember who they said he was fighting on Friday night, but Friday night we get to see Willie Mack on Rampage. That should be a lot of fun.
Brian Cage.
Even better. Brian Cage and Willie Mack. That should be a good match. So
they had a good match on Dark. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that should be fun. And then when we get back from break, this is where we get Takeshita backstage being interviewed with Renee. And he said he loved wrestling Bryan Danielson because he's his hero and he learned so much. And he talks about how he doesn't trust MJF. And then he says a whole long phrase in Japanese. And Renee says, well, what does that mean? And he says, MJF is an asshole. And
with the shit-eating grin on his face. That was the best part.
And Renee agreed. I think she said, yep, which is a lot of fun. And then commentary said, I think the same. And guys, the amazing thing in my brain, sitting on the couch watching this, was just saying, man, if he had gone to a different company, they would have never let him say anything on camera because he didn't speak perfect English with no Southern drawl.
Hunter's different about that in his defense, but Vince is back, so who the fuck knows?
The track record is not great. So fun to see Takeshita in a human moment backstage being interviewed. It should also be known for those who aren't maybe watching the Darks. Ryan, keep me honest here. Didn't Don Callis roll in and say he had an offer?
Don Callis came up to Takeshita, said, yelled at him for wrestling all the matches. Said that's what Kenny used to do, and that's bad. That beats up your body. We got to get you fixed on that. And then here's my card, basically. Like Kenny and I want to help you out. So yeah, it was a big moment for Takeshita.
So some fun possibilities for Takeshita, and he's definitely getting more TV time. And based on our discussions in past weeks, rumors are that they really want to make him a next sort of star for this company, and I think he's got it. So we'll see what's next for Takeshita. Maybe we're going to get a match out of him and MJF, since it seems like maybe we can get something leading into Revolution. But guys, now we're at our main event of the evening. A dream match, Darby Allin versus Kushida for the AEW TNT Championship. Another guy you look at and you say, how did another company not know what the fuck they were doing when they had Takeshita? Or Kushida, excuse me. I got Takeshita on the brain. But boy, Kushida is really fucking great in the ring. His work is fantastic. If you weren't familiar with him and this was the first you saw out of him, go out of your way to watch some other Kushida matches. Look for Japanese work.
Him versus Velveteen Dream was incredible.
Okay.
There's some good ones of that earlier era, but from 2.0 on, just like disrespectfully bad to that guy. But this was phenomenal down the stretch. This was so good.
Really, Jacket Time was bad.
Well, see, Ryan, it had to do with like the jackets they were wearing, but it's also a masturbation pun. I don't know if you caught on to the subtle genius of that shit.
I did not get that. Thank God someone
him
explained it to me.
and Von Wagner, an absolute classic. But yeah.
So guys, I mean, we'll cut to the finish and then I'll ask my question that I wanted to get to before. So Darby Allin does wind up winning by pinfall with the Last Supper to retain his TNT Championship. It was a quick win. They told a good story throughout the whole match of Kushida working the shoulder, working the hand. Really cool spot where Darby was going for the drop kick off the top rope while Kushida was sitting in a chair. And Kushida stood up through the chair and then caught him on the arm and was able to wrench on that shoulder and his wrist some more. Just a really, really awesome spot. Post-match, Kushida and Darby race. Kushida raises his hand, so everything's good. Hopefully we get to see a little more Kushida in the ring in AEW, since there's the relationship between New Japan and AEW and Ring of Honor. But guys, here's the question I wanted to ask you, and I saw it, like I said, either posted as a comment on a story or as a reply on Twitter or something. But any thoughts to the fact that we've seen Darby now defend this title numerous times? I think 3 or 4 times so far since he's won it. We know we want to see him defend this belt, and we want to see the belt more on TV, but is it take any of the shine off the title? The fact that now he's defended it so much, do we want to see them breathe a little bit with him?
Nope. To me, this is the exact opposite. This is the rebuilding of the TNT title.
I'm going to say no, because it's cycling completely different talent onto television. We hadn't really seen Juice. We hadn't really seen much of Mike Bennett. We haven't seen Kushida. So as long as if you're doing all those matches and you're keeping it fresh, I don't have a problem with the fact that Darby Allin is half of it at all. Like, I think it's a very healthy thing because you're getting talent on TV, and all of the matches have been phenomenal. So, and I think it's productive for Darby. This by far was easily my favorite match he's had since the Punk match. And I would say from an objective standpoint, his best match since the MJF match at Full Gear. The Punk one just obviously holds a special place, but the getting to see different dimensions of Darby is so important. Like, I think people are forgetting, like, he's supposed to be one of the 4 pillars. He was lost in these weird like tag programs and stuff, but I don't need breathing room when it's not like, oh, we just saw Darby and Brian Cage this week and now we're seeing them again on Rampage. I have that problem with Jay fucking Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. I don't need them on both programs every week, but I don't mind a champion defending their title. And having someone like Kushida come in who's not with the company and get on TV, and like, that's exactly what Cody was doing. He did it with Eddie and Ricky and Sonny Kiss and like people we hadn't seen on TV before. I prefer that type of champion, especially when MJF is going to be wrestling so little, right? His whole thing is he's dodging having to get in the ring. So having a title that's defended regularly is super important in my opinion.
And how about the match, guys? What did we think of the match? I know we talked a little bit about the belt itself, but the match I thought was phenomenal. Again, I knew what we would get out of Kushida. I knew what we would get out of Darby. But you always sort of have that doubt that something can go wrong and this match can just be a fucking snooze. It certainly was not. I thought this match was fantastic.
I'll just say phenomenal main event. And I like it when Darby rises to challenges in this way. I get the same complaint people have, and I understand it about Orange Cassidy of like, and I feel like Orange Cassidy's title reign has been really good for this too. Like, it's not underdog, like does the slow kicks and then turns the gas on and wins or whatever. Like, we're seeing different sides of Darby in this, and what Kushida brought out of him I think was awesome. I really like it when Darby wrestles like a wrestler, and it was a little less like, oh my God, a really reckless spot. Oh my gosh, fighting from underneath. Like, I love when Darby leans into the wrestler part of him, because those other pieces are always there. You're always going to have a holy shit spot. You're always going to have his awesome finisher. I love that he didn't win with the coffin drop in this. Like, so much fun, and it felt like they were really telling a story, even though this didn't really have a backstory of any sort. And I also loved that at the end, Kushida kind of said like, hey, let's do this again, was like the kind of look on his face and the hand gesture there. I would not mind running it back, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of Kushida in AEW. He's fantastic. Very happy he got to do this on American television.
Schlong, anything you want to add about the match?
Match was fantastic. Kushida whipped out a couple really good reversals and moves. Like Kate said, Darby, this match was different than, his previous matches. He's been really good at switching it up. To relate to Kate's point about Orange Cassidy, they seem to have taken two guys that they wanted to be like, we really like them. We need people to understand that they are good in the ring, and said, all right, let's give them a belt and just have them do a bunch of defenses. And now you can't doubt how good these two are. Like, Darby could lose his belt at any moment now, and it's been a successful reign in my opinion, because he's had how many defenses. I just like the TNT to be the belt that's constantly defended and has awesome matches. You give me that, you can turn it over a bunch, because if a guy gets in 5 defenses in 5 weeks, and it's like, okay, what am I complaining about?
Yeah, when he drops it to Miro at Revolution to a surprise opponent, that's going to be a great moment.
That could be interesting. But a fun episode of Dynamite tonight after 24 hours of terrible news. So I think they did a good job with this show. They let you just enjoy the wrestling. We'll move on to a couple things that happened over the week, other than the obvious news that we already discussed. But guys, it seems like Sting's going to end after his AEW contract expires. He had an interview with D Magazine, and there were a few quotes that came out of that. And they said, Sting won't allow himself to rest. Not yet. He's chasing the one thing that keeps eluding him in his wrestling twilight, a final act. The right performance to cap off a storied career. A moment, a storyline, something constructed with his bosses at AEW to bring him fulfillment. And until he attains it, he'll keep pushing himself further than any wrestler his age ever has. Ever since he returned to the ring in March 2021, following a 5.5-year hiatus, he's upped the ante, continually testing the limits of what his sexagenarian body can take. Excuse me, I got thrown off by sexagenarian.
As you should.
Hexagenarian, more likely.
Ooh. Intellectually, he embraces the concessions he must make to age, a lower spot in the company hierarchy, the end of energy-sapping, one-on-one contests. That doesn't help him sleep better on the nights after he wrestles, when he replays sequences in his mind and pries at the weak points in his performance. His wife worries, so do his friends. So do some of his friends, but they're also curious. They too wonder how Sting's story will end. He knows only that it's soon. His deal with AEW expires sometime this year. He won't say exactly when it ends, so will his time behind the face paint. Whatever I do, I want wrestling fans to say, that was incredible, he says. I don't want them to walk away going, that was embarrassing. I just want it to be a great memory, and then to just finally, once and for all, say adios. It was also noted that in that interview, he admitted that he had thought he reached the end of his road during his match at Arthur Ashe Stadium in September of 2021, when his body refused to move in the ways that he needed it to during the tag match with FTR. So the clock's ticking, guys. It sounds like that when his in-ring sort of career and this deal expires, that's going to be it. So I guess my question to you guys is there with AEW a final sort of act, a match, something that you would be able to say, this would be sort of the end of it with Sting? Would we want to see, now that where my mind immediately goes is some sort of bad breakup with Darby Allin, right? After spending so much time with Darby, shouldn't Darby be the one to put him down?
Yes, but I don't think it has to be a bad breakup. I think they might be heading there. I meant to mention this when we were talking about the match, him throwing the towel away, like right before the ending sequence. Loved that, of like, last time he gave him the fatherly pep talk, this time he's throwing the towel into the crowd instead of the ring because he has faith in him. You could do a traditional story. You could also do a kind of more of a like respectful passing of the torch kind of thing of Sting, like seeing if he still got it, and he mostly does, but then he's just not there fully or whatever. I think that would be a really nice way to send Sting out instead of it being kind of like visceral, but it could also be really fun to experiment with the idea of a Darby heel turn. So I don't hate that idea either, but I do think his whole time in AEW has been with Darby. It has to end with Darby, right? Like, you're not going to go on to a different person for one feud. Like, it's been Darby the whole time. So I would love to see it be more of a, rather than like a huge turn thing, a little bit more of a respect moment. But I'd be fine with either.
Schlong, you're the Sting aficionado all the way back to his WCW days. What's the way that you would want to see his story end?
Don't say Jeff Jarrett.
Please say Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett. No, I mean, I don't want to see him. Oh no, Kate went away. What a shame.
Wait,
wow.
She really left.
I don't know if she. That's actually really funny.
Oh, she totally didn't mean to leave. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't necessarily want him to go out. I don't want it to be heel Darby, because I don't want Sting to go out on like, I don't mind him going out losing, but I don't want him to go out like hurt and done. Like, if it's gonna be his last match, let him get his cheers in, more like equivalent to Flair versus HBK at WrestleMania type situation. And I think it should just be that hold on. Did you mean to go all the way out?
I meant to go all the way up, but I forgot that I'm logged into the Fightful stream area, not ours, so I couldn't just come back in real quick. I had to like open Twitter, click the link.
Oh boy.
That's really funny. No, I saying I don't want Sting to go out, like I said, on his back in terms of like hurt or something because Darby turns heel. What I want Sting to say to Darby is, I've taught you everything I can. Your last thing is to prove that you don't need me anymore by beating me. And let that be the end. And then after he wins, after Darby wins, they can get up, they can hug, Sting can get his flowers, everybody could be happy. I don't want him to go out hurt or like a heel turn, because then Sting doesn't get to have that moment of like, when a guy's put this much into it. I will say, God bless this AEW run for Sting though, because the way his WWE one went, it was not the right way to put out that legend, and this is definitely how he should go out.
And it should be a one-on-one match, right? Like, we shouldn't do a tag thing.
No.
It's got to be a singles match.
Correct, yeah.
Well,
if Muta and Shinsuke can do it, Sting can definitely do a singles match.
100%. And I mean, anybody they're going to put in there with Sting to go one-on-one to end his career, it will be a protected look. Sting won't, disappoint anybody. I think it'll be fine. So it's interesting though, we don't know when his contracts up. I think he came in December of 2020.
I think they do. I think he said April.
He might have said April, but I know in that article they said he won't say exactly when his contract is
that
up.
Doesn't mean he won't sign a short-term extension if there is a story to go out on.
And I'm thinking of Dustin, actually. Dustin's is April, and he is also retiring this year. Maybe they face each other.
Who knows?
They're like, we're both done.
Yeah.
We're both going out on our backs. It ends in a no DQ.
That's it. Just a double count out. So, all right. So let's move on to the next thing. Guys, do you know that they're not by necessarily buying the company? There is a chance that Tony Khan does get a WWE championship belt. Do you guys know how?
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Boom. The WWE.
He won't, but okay.
They won't. But the WWE has sent a custom championship to a sports team after they win a championship. And the Jaguars are still in the running. For those who don't know, this past week, they came back from a 27-0 deficit to win that game.
Against the San Diego Atlanta Falcon Chargers, because that was just as bad. Holy shit.
Really bad. If you're a Chargers fan, I'm sorry. But that was quite a comeback. Now, I don't think they get past Kansas City. I was going to say Cincinnati. Kansas City this week. But, I mean,
listen,
any given Sunday.
My team's still in it, so it's hard for me to be like, I want Jacksonville to win. But if the Eagles go out or whatever, Jacksonville will be who I want to win for that reason. Like, I want that chaos.
Yeah, Ryan, you got to get past Danny Dimes.
That's right.
He's not what concerns me.
He's not what concerns you? Jalen Hurts?
No,
that should
no. Well, I mean, Saquon is what concerns me a little bit. He looked mighty good.
Well, it's this isn't a football show, but it should be a good week of games on the NFL slate. So we'll see if any more magic is in Jacksonville after this weekend. But the dream's still alive. Oh, boom. And apparently the word on the street is the WWE is sending talent to Kansas City because that game, I guess, is going to be on NBC or maybe NBC. So they want some talent there. Maybe because they think there's going to be AEW talent there with Jacksonville. Who knows?
Maybe they'll fight.
Ooh, street fight. Just don't be in the parking lot. That's where all
Stadium
the trouble
Stampede.
Very true. Guys, Jade Cargill has broken an AEW record. She is 48-0, but she is now the longest reigning champion in AEW history by holding the TBS championship for 373 days and counting. So this was even, as of the 14th, it was 373. We're over that now. But yeah, we keep talking about this 50-0 and sort of who's going to take the belt off her. I don't think it's going to be Red Velvet. I think we're going to get a Red Velvet match, but it ain't going to be Red Velvet.
No, if Chris is ready to come back, it's her. Other than that, I don't know. Returning Thunder Rosa could come in and take that belt. There's a lot of things you could do. But I hope it's Chris real bad.
In other Jade news, that's just one tidbit I have on Jade. There was a couple more things that came out about Jade. She was on the Bootleg Kev podcast, and they covered a lot. One of the other items that they discussed was Bow Wow. Remember I said earlier, we're going to come back to Bow Wow.
He's going to dethrone Jade.
Well, she was asked like basically what happened to that angle because they filmed the Jade and Baddies confronting Bow Wow, and then he shot something that aired on Dynamite, and it was dropped like really quickly. And she was asked what happened, and she said, "I don't know what happened with it. Something was supposed to happen, and it didn't, and we moved on from the situation." So. Sorry, guys. If
Shame
you were
on her for not being like, he's a little bitch. You stay in kayfabe for that moment, Jade.
Whoa.
He's dodging me. He's ducking me. You keep it alive.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're done with Bow Wow. I mean, there goes all our hopes and dreams of seeing Bow Wow involved in AEW. She was also asked though about CM Punk and her experiences with him, and she said she wasn't there. She had left the stadium after her match, so she heard about the brawl out like everybody else did, and she said that Punk's a great guy. He's been nothing but nice to the women's locker room. He talks to me, tells me his experiences. Again, at Comic-Con, we got really close because he was my tag mate in the interviews, and I learned so much from him and so much knowledge in the industry. He's been in 2 different companies, and he can do whatever the hell he wants to do, so he doesn't need it. He does it because he loves it, and that speaks to me. I don't need it. I do it because I love it, and I appreciate people like that.
She also had mentioned in that interview he was the only one that showed her how to like properly deliver a chair shot, which is good because she had those video game looking ones for a while, but they got better.
Yep.
And her new finisher rules too. She talked a lot about Danielson training her. It was a good interview if you want to listen to the whole thing.
That was the next thing I was going to say. Not only the chair shot, but she said Brian Danielson is training her. She said what you see is how he really is. He's a really nice guy. He doesn't play off. He doesn't let people try him, but he's a very sound guy. He trains me on Wednesdays. Tony Khan is the one who set that up. He's really, really great. The first thing he always asks me when I come back is like, I will say, oh man, I messed this up or whatever I have to say. He's like, Jade, but did you enjoy yourself? So now I'm living in the moment. And she also said he gave her a tip on her promos. She said, he's like, if you want to get comfortable with doing promos, do karaoke. You should definitely do karaoke and you'll be fine. He's like, you need to just breathe in the audience. You'll have so much fun if you just live in the moment and like with the hits and all this kind of stuff. Just breathe and take it in and listen. You're going to be fine. Now I'm getting more comfortable. So my guess is Tony Khan was like, Danielson, can you please work with her because they need to push her to that next level? And listen, I think I said it to you about the last couple matches with Jade. I feel like she has been growing in leaps and bounds. She hasn't looked so green. So something's working. And if it's Danielson, then good on him because she looks way better than she has in the past.
And she had also said she has been getting more reps, which is just a part of it. Like wrestling is a very unnatural thing. So glad for her getting progress and just always glad to hear that talent are happy. That's a good thing.
For sure. Speaking of talent and things like Bow Wow not happening, Regal did a podcast, the Distraction Pieces podcast. He had talked about sort of the job that he signed on for never really transpired. He said there's a lot that happened this year. There's a lot of things that have made me go. I'm quite happy being not in the limelight. And I have been for many years. I had my time. The last little few months in AEW was getting far too much about me, and it should have been about the talent that I was with, not about me. I'm quite happy being in the background. I couldn't have a better last few months as far as TV and doing that, but I didn't go there with that intention. The intention was to do something different, and it just never. It started off the way it did, and I didn't expect it to end up being this thing that it was for the last several months where I just became talent. I went there with a different plan because I was asked to go there to help out in a different capacity, and that never transpired. So who knows what that was? Maybe he thought he was just going there to sort of be a coach and a backstage person or booker. But
he has said so many times that he loves talent scouting, and I wonder if he was supposed to be talent scouting and they realized they have a really bloated fucking roster and ROH wasn't getting off the ground as in the time frame that they thought. I think that's very, very possible.
Right. So either way, it sounds like he enjoyed the time he had in AEW, but he just didn't really want to be on TV to the capacity he thought he was going to be. Even though we all, and I'm sure everybody else, we said so many times how great he was on commentary, his storylines, but I get what he's saying. I think he sort of knew, listen, there's younger talent that needs the attention. It doesn't need to be on me.
Okay,
and
but like you can't keep hitting on Excalibur if you don't want us to keep wanting you on television. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to be calling Excalibur several different types of desserts,
right?
like
It's
we're going to
very,
want you on television.
It's very Ross and Rachel, Jim and Pam, will they, won't they, between him and Excalibur.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're just never going to get that resolution now. Sort of a shame.
It is.
And guys, as we said before, sort of the last thing we'll note here, Kate, you mentioned it before and they said it tonight. You know, with the whole Jay Briscoe stuff going down, boy, that really minimizes it. I'm sorry. That's not really what I meant.
No, we talked about it extensively though.
But it was noted on Twitter that they were playing Gimme Back My Bullets as the crowd filed into the arena tonight. We had said we had heard that, but I did see that confirmed on Twitter. No 10 bell salute. We talked about that, but they did have the graphic to open the show. Commentary did discuss Jay during the opening match because of the ring band, and they sent their thoughts to his widow, their children, and Mark and their parents as the show went off the air. And Kate, you mentioned it, that Tony Khan did mention that they would be filming a tribute to Jay after Dynamite tonight. So he said, thank you for watching Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS. We're just getting started. We have a great live show for you all. Plus, after the live show, we'll film a special Ring of Honor tribute to the late, great Jay Briscoe, which will be available soon, free to everyone on Honor Club. So we know that much. Tony Khan did go on to say free for everyone means free. It will be behind a paywall on Honor Club. Plus, we'll post the tribute show in its entirety on Ring of Honor YouTube as well. Also free to everyone. As tonight, this crew will come together to shoot a special Ring of Honor event in honor of the late great Jay Briscoe. So yeah, we don't know what that's going to be, but be on the lookout. It will be coming and should be a good show. They tend to do a good job with their production and everything else around this stuff. So don't know if I have much more to say or if you guys have anything else that we missed, but I think we can start to pull this train into the station.
Sure. I'll just say that the Mox return was a year ago today, which is pretty cool too. Or it might have been a year ago yesterday, but some ways that feels like 10 years ago, some way that feels like yesterday with everything that transpired in wrestling over the course of that year. But good for him for staying happy and healthy. And we're going to talk about dads. Like he's got a new growing baby. So, or I guess over a year old at this point, but that was the only other thing we can pull the train in.
Well then, Kate, why don't you tell the people where you're going to be when you're not here?
Sure. Tuesday nights on normal weeks, I get to do an NXT review show at Fightful YouTube. Also, AEW Rampage and SmackDown post show on Fightful YouTube as well. And Fightful Select on Mondays behind the paywall, talking about Raw for some reason. And not February, but March, I'll be returning to Excite Wrestling Commentary Desk because their February show is while we're on the cruise. So very excited to get back there, though they're doing really great work. So check them out.
Well, then we've got a long time to think of something for you to work into your commentary that night. So we'll be thinking. Schlong, where are you at when when you're not here? I'm sorry.
You can find me Mondays and Tuesdays live tweeting Dark and Dark Elevation at Mark Order Pod, and that's where I am the rest of the week. So be nice and interact with me, but be nice.
Yeah, be nice. And as far as everything else, like Ryan said, follow us on the Twitter at Mark Order Pod. You can find us on all our socials at Mark Order Pod, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all over at Mark Order Pod. If you hit our link tree up in our social accounts, you can find all of our social accounts. You can find feeds to the podcast in audio form. You can find our YouTube page, all that kind of stuff. You could also find a link to request free stickers. So if you don't have any stickers and you want some, click that button. Give us your name, your email, your mailing address, the country you live in, and then we'll send you out some free Mark Order Podcast stickers. at no charge. The other thing you can find in our link tree is a link to our Pro Wrestling Tees store. And if you're not on our link tree, that's fine. You can get there by going to ProWrestlingTees.com. You can search Mark Order Pod or go directly to ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkOrderPod. And we got a few shirts there for you to pick up, a couple, front prints only, a couple double-sided prints. So if you'd like to help us out and support us, you could spend some of your hard-earned dollars on a t-shirt. And we appreciate all of those who have already bought one. And if you do buy a shirt, as long as you give your phone number, I'll be giving you a call to say thank you for purchasing one of our lovely shirts. Beyond that, thank you to everybody who watched along live with us tonight out there. The Mark Quills, the Asian Joes, the Jason Majors, Caden was on, Jesse Ozog, I don't know. I saw a whole bunch of other people. Joe Walsh was in there for a couple comments. He's the one who ran Cade off. Sorry, Cade. He said, say Jeff Jarrett. But thank you to everybody who watches along live. We appreciate you. Thank you for everybody who's listening in podcast form after the fact. We do appreciate you too. To everybody out there, if you're watching us, listening to us, doesn't matter. If you can subscribe, like, rate, review, that totally helps us out. And if you are listening, you can go find all the videos on our YouTube page. They live there forever. So you can go back, and if something funny is happening, or if somebody's talking about something you don't know what it is, check out the YouTube, because it's probably one of us doing something stupid on camera.
Probably Ryan.
Yes, probably Ryan. But that's it, guys, for us this week. We'll be back next week for Nasty 96 on the Mark Order Podcast. This is Kate and Ryan's go home before the cruise. Will they finally learn to get along? Will they, come together in the name of friendship so that they won't want to throw each other off the deck of a cruise ship? Who knows? Maybe their friendship will blossom into something where they're not constantly hating each other. Or maybe they'll just continue to hate each other. Who knows? Tune in next week. Find out. Guys, we talked so much earlier about telling people you care about them and you love them. I love you guys both. And I love the fact that we get to do this every week. So
me too, man.
We will see you. I will see you two next week. By the way, I still haven't mailed your Christmas gifts. You're just going to get a random gift in the mail. But I'll see you two next week, and we'll see everybody else out there listening and watching next week here on the Mark Order Podcast.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Join the Mark Order.